38%. Chapter 221 Signing a Contract. Big Loli Si Tang. Looking at old medicine master Danfu and the other light alchemists kneeling on the ground, Lin Yu couldn't help but sigh. Being the Lord of Holy Light has its advantages. He can easily transfer 100 alchemists from the Holy Light Church. Among these alchemists, the lowest level is a high-level alchemist, with over a dozen master-level alchemists, and Danfu, who is a grandmaster-level alchemist. This lineup is much better than the luxurious blacksmiths in the blacksmith workshop. So far, the blacksmith workshop only has 5 high-level blacksmiths. Among them, 2 are dark elves, 1 is a goblin, and 2 are forest trolls. There isn't even a master-level blacksmith, let alone a grandmaster-level blacksmith. Unfortunately, Lin Yu doesn't have any potion blueprints. He can only let these alchemists prepare the potions themselves. There is a big difference between preparing potions on their own and using potion blueprints. The former requires specific magic herbs and has the possibility of failure. The latter only requires putting magic herbs of the same level into the potion furnace, regardless of the type of magic herb, and then various potions can be obtained. Although it seems incredible and illogical, this is the rule of the floating island. Lin Yu said to old medicine master Danfu and the group of light alchemists, "Later, I will upgrade the alchemist manor to a high-level building, and you will work there in the future. Before I obtain the potion blueprints, you can use the existing magic herbs in the warehouse to prepare potions. It's best to prepare potions of medium to low levels." Lin Yu wants to use these potions to collect more gold coins from the pockets of professionals. They can't afford potions of higher levels. After hearing Lin Yu's words, although the light alchemists present were full of confusion, they still respectfully obeyed. This is an oracle from the Lord of Holy Light. They must obey. No need to ask so many questions. Immediately, under the respectful and fanatical gaze of the group of light alchemists, Lin Yu miraculously upgraded the alchemist manor, which was still at a low level, to a high level. The high-level alchemist manor has a larger area and a more magnificent appearance. It also comes with 50 to 100 standard alchemists. Go, work hard, I am with you. Praise you, great Lord of Holy Light. The group of light alchemists became excited. As long as they thought that the Supreme Creator was always watching and favoring them, they were full of enthusiasm, as if they had taken stimulants. Then, Lin Yu went to the clinic. After receiving the excited kneeling ceremony from 100 light priests, he also upgraded the clinic to a high level. Compared to the alchemists and blacksmiths, the work of these light priests is simple. They don't need to consume any materials. Their daily work is to heal the injured troops in the territory. It is worth mentioning that among these 100 light priests, 5 have reached the saint rank, and the rest are all transcendent level. And their lowest rank is devout believer, with some even being fanatic believers. From this, it can be seen that the Holy Light Church has made great efforts to please him, the Lord of Holy Light, without any negligence. After dealing with the matters of the alchemist manor and the clinic, Lin Yu prepared to return to the Hall of the Overlord. But at this moment, a message from the myriad world's floating island suddenly appeared in his mind. Congratulations, Lin Yu Overlord. The black bone blood vine you planted has matured, unlocking the ability to sign a master-servant contract. Lin Yu was instantly delighted. No matter what, the black bone blood vine is the first demonic plant he planted. In the first few days, he often went to see it and chat with it. Although he rarely visits recently, there is still some emotional connection. In addition, after 2 evolutions, the black bone blood vine has reached the peak of the saint rank in terms of growth potential, and its combat power is still very strong. It is worth celebrating. Without hesitation, Lin Yu immediately went to the central teleportation array in the town. In the blink of an eye, he arrived at the eastern gate teleportation array of the town. Going out from here is the spirit field. The reason for using the teleportation array is that after Paradise Town was upgraded to a high-level town, its area has become very large, spanning nearly 80 kilometers. It would take a lot of time and effort to fly over. It's better to arrive instantly with a teleportation. Entering the spirit field, Lin Yu arrived at the area where he planted the black bone blood vine and the everlasting flower. As a result, he only saw an everlasting flower that was over 10 meters tall. But the black bone blood vine was nowhere to be seen. In the place where the black bone blood vine was originally planted, there was only a big hole left. Just as Lin Yu was puzzled, a small black figure suddenly emerged from the ground. Then, with great excitement, it pounced towards Lin Yu. And in its little mouth, it kept calling out, "Daddy." Lin Yu was completely dumbfounded. It wasn't until the small figure leapt into his arms that he snapped back to reality. It was a small girl who appeared to be around 15 or 16 years old, with a delicate and adorable appearance. She was wearing a black dress, and faint bloodstains could be seen shimmering on the skirt. There was no doubt that this little girl was the Blackbone blood vine. The only difference was that before, she was a vine. Now, she had transformed into a human. Of course, not a real human, but the humanoid form of a demonic plant. Both demonic plants and demonic beasts can assume a humanoid form when they reach a certain level. And that level is the demigod level. Thinking of this, Lin Yu immediately checked the information of the little girl. Blackbone blood vine. Belongs to the vine-type demonic plant. Level. Early demigod. Growth status. Adult. Introduction. A rare demonic plant that has undergone 3 bloodline evolutions, possessing extremely powerful combat strength. Blood and bones are its favorites, belonging to the evil demonic plant lineage. 3 bloodline evolutions. Lin Yu was instantly astonished. He hadn't expected that while he couldn't see, the Blackbone bloodvine had actually undergone its 3rd bloodline evolution. You see, that everlasting flower with its big round face. It hadn't even undergone a single evolution. No wonder she can assume a humanoid form. The Blackbone bloodvine has already reached the demigod level and has mastered the power of the laws. Just then, Lin Yu heard the little girl in his arms calling him, Daddy, again. Her voice was soft but filled with a sense of dependence. The corners of Lin Yu's mouth twitched. He had only said it casually back then, but the Blackbone bloodvine had actually remembered it all this time. She called him, Daddy, as soon as she transformed. How could this be? He himself was not even 20 years old. How could he have a daughter who looked like she was 15 or 16? The little girl who had transformed from the Blackbone bloodvine was very delicate and adorable, with a petite and slender figure, as well as a pair of watery blood-red eyes and blood-red hair that reached her waist. Although she appeared to be only 15 or 16 years old, she was actually an adult. Her overall appearance could be described as that of a big loli. From now on, you should call me master. Upon receiving Lin Yu's response, the big loli vigorously nodded her head. Lin Yu then communicated with Myriad World's floating island, asking, how do I form a master-servant contract with a demonic plant? Follow the prompts given by Overlord. Prompts. Lin Yu looked down at the big loli in his arms. At this moment, a virtual information box appeared. Do you choose to form a master-servant contract with the current demonic plant? Yes, or no. Lin Yu fell silent for a moment, then chose yes. Suddenly, a dazzling 9-pointed star formation appeared out of thin air and imprinted itself on the forehead of the big loli. After a moment, a stream of blood light flew out from the big loli's forehead and entered Lin Yu's body. With that, the master-servant contract was complete. Throughout the entire process, the big loli did not resist at all. Instead, she was very happy. Give you a name. Should I call you Hei Tang or Xiao Tang? After much thought, Lin Yu finally named the big loli Si Tang. Do you like it? Si Tang nodded her head vigorously. Her voice was crisp, pleasant, and filled with happiness as she said, I like all the names Master gives me. Lin Yu burst into laughter. Not far away, the everlasting flower was envious to the point of tears almost falling. Why didn't it have that kind of freakish talent for frenzy? It couldn't evolve just by getting angry. If it had that talent, how could that vine compare? Damn it, it had to work even harder. It wanted to ascend to the demigod level and let that vine know that Flower Sister will always be Flower Sister. 38%. Chapter 222 Prosperous Paradise Town. Chaotic Giant Kingdom. Lin Yu pulled the little hand of the big loli, Si Tang, and walked out of the spirit field. Radiant Saintess, Tiffany, stood not far away. She was wearing a platinum-colored long dress, and the cross on her neck emitted a dazzling light. Under the shining sun, she appeared even more beautiful and holy, without a speck of dust. Her temperament, cheeks, and figure were all top-notch. It must be said, the Radiant Church is very strict in selecting saintesses. After all, they serve the God of Faith. Any slight flaw would be disrespectful to the God of Faith. Before this, if Tiffany had the hope of advancing to the peak level of a demigod, she could enter the Myriad World's battlefield and serve the famous Radiant Goddess. But now, she has become Lin Yu's maid. It is likely that even the Radiant Goddess wouldn't be angry if she knew. According to the records in the Radiant Church's scriptures, the Radiant Goddess is a subordinate deity of the Lord of Holy Light. Half of the faith power contributed by her followers needs to be offered to the Lord of Holy Light. All faith power must be offered. What is a mere, radiant saintess? On the other side, Tiffany saw the big lowly, Si Tang, being led by Lin Yu. The expression on radiant saintess, Tiffany's delicate cheeks froze for a moment. She didn't understand how the Lord of Holy Light brought a human girl with him into the spirit field. But soon she realized, because she sensed the unique aura emanating from Si Tang and the powerful demigod pressure. She immediately understood the reason. This delicate and lovely girl is not human. She is a terrifying demonic plant that has reached the demigod level and has the ability to transform. My lord, Tiffany didn't dare to think too much and quickly greeted them. Lin Yu nodded and his gaze lingered on Tiffany's proud figure for a moment. Then he led the two women back to the town. The town's army had all gone out. Aside from the angel army that had already gone to the giant kingdom, the hundreds of thousands of local believer armies had also used teleportation arrays to go to the wilderness world 150 kilometers away. These local believer armies had two tasks. One was to hunt wild monsters. The other task was to attack local strongholds. Especially within the 150-kilometer range, all the local strongholds had already been abandoned. Because the elite members of those strongholds had become Lin Yu's believers. Their strength had plummeted, but the strongholds were still intact. They could be easily taken over. By eliminating these strongholds, Lin Yu would obtain a large amount of basic resources, blueprints, and stronghold treasure chests. In the northwest area of the town, there were mountains of monster corpses piled up. These were the harvest from yesterday during the day. After the onslaught of the beast tide, Paradise Town obtained over 10 million wild monster corpses in total. Tens of thousands of residents had been working tirelessly since yesterday, but they still hadn't finished decomposing those monster corpses. But this didn't prevent Paradise Town's resource reserves from overflowing. Lin Yu's territory now had a total of 3 warehouses, with a reserve capacity of 30 million units. But they still couldn't accommodate all the decomposed meat. If nothing unexpected happened, there would be at least 100 million units of meat overflowing and needing to be stored outdoors. However, Lin Yu no longer had to worry about the meat spoiling. Because Secretary and possessed the power of spatial laws. Last night, Secretary and used the power of spatial laws to create an independent space in the northwest area of the town, isolated from the floating island. From the outside, this independent space appeared as a cube. The length, width, and height are only 200 to 300 meters. However, the space inside is extremely vast and can accommodate dozens of mountains that are kilometers high without any problem. Obviously, this independent space is forcibly compressed, just like the spirit field. The residents only need to put the decomposed beast meat into this independent space. The spatial law power it carries can keep the meat in a very fresh state. If there were additional warehouses, it would be even better. Unfortunately, we have to wait for the territory to upgrade to a town before we can build more and larger reserve warehouses. Now, Lin Yu is only one building blueprint away from upgrading to a town. Paradise Town is now bustling. Crafting equipment, preparing potions. The believers and residents are all working. In the northeast area of the town, there is a group of hardworking artisan angels building new City of Angels, and they are building 3 at once. Paradise Town is currently not lacking in basic resources. Building 3 City of Angels at the same time is also completely feasible. Barring any unexpected circumstances, it will take at most 3 to 4 days. These 3 City of Angels will be completed. At that time, Lin Yu can dispatch the territorial army and launch a full-scale war against the Dark Forest. After the Giant Kingdom, as long as the Bone Temple, Elf Garden, and Naga Kingdom are eliminated, the Dark Forest will be under the rule of his Paradise Town. He will control this large region. Looking at the entire territory, Lin Yu can be said to be the most leisurely one. After Radiant Saintess Tiffany moved his exclusive recliner out of the Hall of the Overlord, he lay down on it, basking in the sun while browsing the island chat channel and trading platform. Little Lolita Si Tang is playing with a few dark elves not far away. She prefers to interact with dark elves compared to other residents. Because she is an evil spectrum plant spirit. And dark elves also belong to the dark and evil camp. There is a sense of familiarity when they interact. As for Radiant Saintess Tiffany, she stands respectfully by Lin Yu's side. Seeing Lin Yu comfortably lying on the recliner, Tiffany clenches her silver teeth, then walks behind Lin Yu and gently places her tender and slender hands on his shoulders, giving him a massage. Serving the great Lord of Holy Light is her mission. She is honored to serve the Lord of Holy Light but also worried that she will be rejected by him. That's why she hesitated for a long time. But for Lin Yu, there is no reason to refuse when a beautiful saint is giving him a massage. After working all night last night, he happens to need to relax his muscles. At the same time, the giant kingdom is also in chaos. But not because of the attack of the angel army. The angel army is marching, and the giant kingdom is completely unaware of it. The chaos is due to the theft of the kingdom's treasury, which, after fermenting overnight, has finally spread throughout the entire capital. The kingdom's treasury is the core of the giant kingdom. Not to mention how many precious items are stored there. The most important thing is that it is heavily guarded. Now, thieves have actually infiltrated the kingdom's treasury and almost emptied it. This has left the mountain giants in the capital incredulous. At the same time, it has also made them angry. Since the establishment of the giant kingdom, they have never encountered such a heart-wrenching incident. Many hot-tempered mountain giants are roaring. They want to capture the thieves and tear them to pieces. But the lower-level mountain giants do not know that the theft of the kingdom's treasury was done by their own people. They still think it was thieves from other races who infiltrated. 38%. Chapter 223 Great Elder, is it possible that you are overthinking? The central temple of the giant kingdom. Gathered here are mountain giants, each towering nearly 20 meters tall. There are nearly 100 of them. And they are all saint-rank powerhouses. Ordinary transcendent-level mountain giants have no qualifications to appear here. The kingdom's treasury has been looted, which is a major event. So all the high-ranking members of the giant kingdom have gathered here. Of course, there is another reason, which is that the giant kingdom is facing an invasion by a powerful enemy. Using this reason, the elder has summoned all the high-ranking members and powerhouses of the kingdom to discuss countermeasures. The elder is already old, with a thin and hunched figure. He is wearing a gray robe and holding a withered wooden staff, with a gloomy expression as he says, "It can be confirmed that the person who looted our kingdom's treasury is Woodrow Inagudaki." What? Upon hearing this, the high-ranking members present all widen their eyes, expressing disbelief. Woodrow Inagudaki, like them, are also high-ranking members of the giant kingdom and powerful saint-rank professionals. How could they do such a thing? Furthermore, noble descendants of the Titans engaging in theft would be nailed to the pillar of shame of the mountain giant clan. Not to mention defiling the bloodline of the Titans, they would never be able to hold their heads up for the rest of their lives. If future generations found out, they would spit on them. A burly mountain giant speaks in a buzzing voice, "Elder, is there some misunderstanding in this matter? I don't think Woodrow Inagudaki could possibly." No need to say more. This is the truth. The elder interrupts the words of the high-ranking mountain giant, saying, "Woodrow Inagudaki have completely betrayed the kingdom and the Titan bloodline within them. Also, Bainite is the same." Bainite, one of the high-ranking members of the kingdom says, "Isn't he dead?" According to Woodrow, Bainite was killed by 4 dragons, including the green dragon Audrich. That's a lie. The elder says, "News has come from the tribe that Bainite entered their territory yesterday afternoon and ordered them to hand over magic cores and other precious resources. Bainite is not dead. Woodrow and Agudaki have deceived us." Before leaving the capital, the two of them sneaked into the kingdom's treasury and looted everything inside. Because of these 3 traitors, our kingdom has suffered heavy losses. Damn it. In the hall, there is an immediate burst of angry roars. Yesterday, they were still grieving over Bainite's unfortunate sacrifice. As a result, Bainite not only didn't die but also became a traitor. This made them feel deceived and even more angry in their hearts. And Woodrow and Agudaki, if these 3 guys appear in front of them, they swear to the Titans that they will tear them into pieces to wash away the shame they have brought to the mountain giant clan. "Elder," a mountain giant roars in anger, "where are they now? Tell me, I will go and kill them immediately." The mountain giant clan is very united internally. But they never show mercy to traitors. In the hall, the other mountain giants are also filled with righteous indignation. In their eyes, the glory of the Titans must never be desecrated. Woodrow and the other 3 who betrayed the glory of the Titans must die. The elder coughs and says, "I have summoned you all here for this reason. But it is not to capture those 3 traitors, but for another reason. The severity of this matter may even surpass the theft of the kingdom's treasury." What happened? The high-ranking officials of the kingdom hurriedly asked. The elder said, "You must believe in the will of our mountain giant clan, not to mention that Woodrow and the others are all saint-rank professionals. Under normal circumstances, even if they sacrificed themselves on the battlefield, they would not betray the glory of the Titans. I suspect that they didn't simply betray us, but rather, they have been controlled. To be able to control the life of a saint-rank mountain giant, the strength must be extremely terrifying. Yesterday afternoon, I sent the Grand Commander with a group of saint-rank powerhouses to besiege the Green Dragon Aldrich. But until now, they have not returned to the kingdom, nor have we received any news from them. It is highly likely that the Green Dragon Aldrich has already died. This is a conspiracy against my giant kingdom. Upon hearing this, the high-ranking mountain giants present were immediately shocked and pale. Elder, the Grand Commander is a peak saint-rank powerhouse. Besides a demigod, who could kill him? Not to mention that he is not alone, but accompanied by a group of saint-rank powerhouses. That's right, Elder. In the entire kingdom, the Grand Commander's strength is second only to His Majesty and the Great Prophet, who are demigod-level powerhouses. Even dragon race powerhouses of the same level would not be able to kill him. Elder, is it possible that you are overthinking? Quote. The elder remained silent for a moment and said, I also hope that I am overthinking. But my intuition tells me. Your intuition is unreliable. A mountain giant blurted out, if it were the Great Prophet, I would choose to believe. The other mountain giants nodded in agreement. In their eyes, the elder had buried his head in the ground. They believed that intuition was completely unreliable. Of course, the main reason was that they did not believe that any force in the dark forest would dare to oppose their mountain giant clan. The giant kingdom possessed a million-strong army of powerful mountain giants. They had also signed a defensive alliance agreement with the Elf Garden to the east. With such a strong alliance, who would dare to provoke them? Even the Lich of the Bone Temple did not dare to recklessly venture outside under the deterrence of their mountain giant clan. The reaction of the high-ranking officials of the kingdom completely left the elder at a loss. After a while, he gritted his teeth and said, forget about intuition or lack thereof. I say there is a conspiracy, so there must be one. During this period, we must strengthen the defense forces of the peripheral cities and tribes. In addition, expand the scope of early warning. We must not give the enemy any opportunity. All right. A mountain giant said, what about the Grand Commander and the others? Should we send someone to look for them? The elder glared at him and said, are you brainless? If something really happened to the Grand Commander, no matter how many people we send, it would be a dead end. We cannot let our people sacrifice in vain. And one more thing. The elder said, all the recent incidents have been concentrated in the southeast region of the kingdom. There must be something hidden there. Pay close attention to it. A mountain giant said, I heard that a rapidly growing overlord from another world has appeared there and established a force called Paradise Town. I wonder if these incidents are related to that overlord. Logic tells me that the possibility is very low. The elder shook his head. He would rather believe that the Lich of the Bone Temple was playing dead. He was unwilling to believe that a mere town-level territory could control Woodrow and the others, and even kill their kingdom's Grand Commander and so many saint-rank powerhouses. Therefore, the enemy unit must be from another force. This was the judgment made by the elder under extremely rational circumstances. 38%. Chapter 224 Myriad worlds are all corrupted, and darkness is coming. On the other side. Hundreds of kilometers away from the giant kingdom of the mountain giant king. The majestic city of angels, like a divine palace, shattered the thick clouds and appeared here. Behind, following the mighty fallen angel legion. Along the way, the indigenous intelligent race in the jungle below, as well as the wild monsters and demons, all trembled in fear. Even the saint-rank level demons were scared and quickly retreated to their lairs. They were all catching their breath cautiously. Because both the city of angels and the fallen angel legion emitted terrifying auras, as if even a demigod standing in front would be killed. Shortly after entering the core area of the giant kingdom, the angel army encountered a mountain giant tribe. Inside the tribe, there were about 4,000 mountain giants, with the highest level reaching the transcendent initial stage, serving as the tribe's chief. At the same time, the sound of drums echoed within the tribe. The mountain giants also saw the floating city of angels in the sky and the massive fallen angel army. Enemy attack! A mountain giant roared in panic. The other thousands of mountain giants quickly armed themselves, preparing to fight for the survival of the tribe. In terms of warfare, the mountain giants, who inherited the will of the Titans, were not inferior to anyone. In the World Defense War, of the past, the giant races, including the mountain giants, were the main force at the forefront, with countless casualties. Not long after, a figure flew out of the tribe and appeared hundreds of meters in the air. He was the chief of this tribe. Looking at the city of angels that crushed the clouds, this transcendent level mountain giant couldn't help but swallow his saliva involuntarily. His expression was filled with shock and disbelief. But he still gathered his courage and shouted sternly, "This is the core territory of our mountain giant kingdom. No matter which force you come from or what your purpose is, leave immediately. Otherwise, it will be war between us and the mountain giant kingdom." As soon as his voice fell, the world fell into silence, as if time had stopped. During this time, the transcendent level mountain giant also closely observed the white giant city floating above and the winged legion, emitting a strong evil aura behind. He recalled a legend recorded in the ancient books of the kingdom. But he couldn't be sure. Because those creatures with black wings, unlike the ones recorded in the ancient books. It was about the angel clan in the legend. Angels, sacred beings. An incredibly powerful mythical race that once dominated the vast myriad world's battlefield. According to legend, angels had extremely beautiful appearances, pure white wings, and a pure and sacred aura. But the legion gathered in the distance. Each creature was huge in size, with pitch black wings on their backs, and emitted an extremely evil aura. It could be determined that they were not the angels recorded in the ancient books. But the problem was the white giant city floating in the air. It was exactly the same as the famous City of Angels. What was going on? Just as this transcendent mountain giant was racking his brains and couldn't figure it out, an extremely beautiful figure flew out of the City of Angels. At the moment he saw that figure, the heart of the transcendent mountain giant suddenly skipped a beat. As if struck by lightning, his massive body instantly stiffened. He widened his eyes, and uncontrollably shouted in madness, "It really is the legendary angel clan. They have descended upon this world, and they have brought the famous fortress, the City of Angels. But how is this possible? The ancient books record that even in the myriad world's battlefield, the angel clan disappeared tens of millions of years ago. How could they suddenly appear in this world?" At this moment, a thought suddenly emerged in the mind of the transcendent mountain giant: disaster has come. Not only for their mountain giant kingdom, but also for the entire floating island world. Because angels were known as a warlike race. They held the banner of faith and claimed to purify the world. Either in war or on the path of war. Now, the angel army has descended upon the core territory of their giant kingdom, bringing the famous City of Angels, the implications of which are self-evident. He was now in a panic, seemingly foreseeing the future of the mountain giant kingdom. Wait, seeing the six-winged angel radiating divine light flying over, the transcendent mountain giant suddenly shouted, "Our mountain giant tribe is a direct descendant of the thundering titans, belonging to the lawful neutral camp, not an evil race." The reason he emphasized that they are not an evil race is because, according to legend, in the eyes of angels, all evil races are heretics and must be purified. The followers of the bountiful great lands have inherited the glorious tradition of the angelic race. They kill evil creatures whenever they catch them. Occasionally, they even bind evil creatures to crosses and burn them. He doesn't want to be purified by the angels. Even more so, he doesn't want to see the flames of war ignited by the angelic race spread to their giant kingdom. He shouts that the mountain giants are direct descendants of the thunder titans, hoping to make these angels wary and first investigate their background before speaking. "O great Lord of holy light, benevolent and selfless. Treat all races in the world equally." The six-winged angel spoke coldly. She was wearing a holy platinum magic robe, holding an exquisite divine staff engraved with angelic runes, and looking at the transcendent level mountain giant with an indifferent expression. "I will give you and your tribe a chance to redeem yourselves. Embrace the holy light and become followers of my Lord. Under the protection of my Lord, you will obtain eternal life." "This is impossible." The transcendent mountain giant kept retreating and said, "We believe in the great Titan true God. Are you angelic beings trying to seize the faith belonging to the Titan true God? All the myriad worlds have decayed, darkness is imminent. Only the holy light is eternal." As he spoke, the six-winged angel waved the divine staff in his hand. Immediately, a brilliant rain of light fell from the void, not only merging into the body of the transcendent mountain giant, but also enveloping the tribe below. "This is the legendary faith magic that can distort will. Quick, run!" The transcendent mountain giant shouted in fear. Upon hearing his words, thousands of mountain giants in the tribe also panicked and scattered to escape. But soon, they stopped. They all knelt down in unison, devoutly praying to the Lord of Holy Light. Even the transcendent level mountain giant couldn't hold on for long. After a brief struggle, he also knelt down. Gather the warriors of your tribe, march with my army. Understood, honorable envoy of the holy. The transcendent mountain giant respectfully obeyed the order and immediately mobilized the tribal army. Soon, thousands of mountain giants in the tribe gathered again, their fighting spirit and morale even more fervent than before. This is the power of fanatical faith. At the same time, floating in the sky, the city of angels, hundreds of beautiful angels wielding divine staffs, took flight. Each of them was a type of angel skilled in divine magic, specializing in the magic of faith. Then, the city of angels continued to advance. Its target was the giant kingdom, hundreds of kilometers away. As for the fallen angel legion in the rear, they dispersed on the spot, dividing into small angel legions of reorganized scale. Each legion consisted of over 500 fallen angels, led by a 6-winged fallen angel. Lady Angelia has given orders. Our mission as the fallen angel legion is to eliminate the mountainous giants and tribes surrounding the giant kingdom. Cooperate with the Holy Angel Legion and swiftly annihilate the entire giant kingdom. Understood. The 6-winged fallen angels responded one after another. Immediately, the fallen angel army began to move, forming a fan-shaped array as they encircled the core territory of the giant kingdom. Within each fallen angel legion camp, there were 3 to 4 holy angels wielding divine staffs. Some were 4-winged grand angels. Some were 6-winged seeker angels. Their task was to spread the belief in the holy light to the mountainous giants and tribes. When encountering tough opponents, they would leave it to the fallen angel legion to deal with. In short, the main strategy of the angel army's attack on the giant kingdom was to convert as many believers of the holy light as possible, and for those who cannot be converted, purify them through physical means. In less than a moment, a fierce war erupted in the core territory of the giant kingdom. The nearby cities and tribes were all attacked by the fallen angel legion. Other fallen angel legions continued to advance, searching for new battlefields. The divine art level angels accompanying the army continuously unleashed their divine magic on the battlefield. Countless mountainous giants became believers of the holy light. After becoming believers of the holy light, they immediately followed the footsteps of the fallen angel legion and counterattacked their own cities and tribes. For them, this was not betrayal. It was the battle for the revival of the mountainous giant clan. Since the Titan true God could not protect them, they would follow the new God of faith. Moreover, being able to ride on the faith battleship of the angel clan was something they were proud of. After all, angels were a mythical race. On the other side, the high-ranking members of the giant kingdom received news of a large-scale invasion of the core territory of the kingdom by enemy forces. Just a moment ago, they were still discussing the possibility of a war. And now, war had arrived. This, damn, couldn't be more coincidental. 39%. Chapter 225 Idiot. Why didn't you tell me earlier? This is not a coincidence. This is a conspiracy against my giant kingdom. Inside the central temple, the elder held a withered wooden staff and said gloomily, this conspiracy began when the affiliated tribes in the southeast region were captured. It is even possible that Audrich's death was just a part of the conspiracy. I have to say, the enemy forces have succeeded. Not only have we lost more than 10 saint-rank powerhouses, but our kingdom's treasury has been looted, causing us heavy losses. Now, the enemy forces have sent a large army to attack, intending to completely destroy our giant kingdom. Their methods are extremely cunning. This is the elder's own viewpoint. But if Lin Yu knew, he might tell the elder of the giant kingdom that his viewpoint was purely his own imagination. There was no conspiracy from beginning to end. Everything happened naturally. The loss of more than 10 saint-rank powerhouses in the giant kingdom was not even within the scope of Lin Yu and Angelia's plan. It was entirely driven by the elder himself. If he hadn't sent Woodrow and others to investigate the destruction of the local Fascist strongholds in the southeast region, there would not have been incidents such as the looting of the kingdom's treasury and the death of the Grand Commander. The series of actions by the elder not only promoted the rapid growth of Paradise Town, but also accelerated the pace of war in Paradise Town. A mountain giant said, "Elder, it is meaningless to talk about these things now. The enemy legion has already invaded our core territory. We must immediately gather our forces to repel the enemy." The elder nodded. Then he summoned the person who reported the information into the central temple. It was a mountain giant of huge stature, but with a terrified expression. The elder immediately asked, "What is the situation of the invaders?" The other high-ranking members and powerhouses in the temple also focused their attention on this transcendent realm mountain giant. They saw him with a fearful expression and said, "Elder, you can't imagine what we have encountered. The invaders who have invaded our territory are none other than the legendary mythical angel clan. They have used their evil faith magic to control a large number of mountain giants in our city. There are also countless black-winged angels with huge bodies and emitting an evil aura following them. Their aura is even more evil than the demons in legends. As long as the mountain giants who refuse to embrace the holy light, they are all killed cleanly by them, and even their blood and souls are devoured. Those white-winged angels, black-winged angels. While spreading the faith of the Lord of Holy Light, they are also massacring our people. In the blink of an eye, our city was captured." After a moment of pause, the mountain giant trembled and said, "I was fortunate enough to escape using a precious teleportation scroll. At the moment of leaving, I looked back and saw mountain giants kneeling all over the city. They have all had their wills twisted and have devoted themselves to the embrace of the Lord of Holy Light. The legendary angel clan." In the hall, all the high-ranking members and powerhouses exclaimed. As direct descendants of the Thunder Titan, they were fearless and not afraid of death. The powerful nature elves, the dragon nest that ruled the 36 islands, and the bright church that deterred the entire bountiful great lands, they were all fearless. It was just a matter of death. What were they afraid of? However, this did not mean that they were not afraid of the legendary angel clan. According to the ancient records of their kingdom, the angel clan was able to rival the Thunder Titan clan at its strongest. They had swept countless worlds in the name of faith. Of course, this was only recorded in the ancient records of their kingdom. The reality was, on the battlefield of myriad worlds, the Thunder Titan clan is no match for the Angel clan. The 18-winged Grand Archangel of the Angel clan is a terrifying presence well known in the myriad worlds battlefield. Even without the Lord of Holy Light, they can still suppress all races, making countless intelligent species tremble in fear. And this is why, even after tens of millions of years, the reputation of the Angel clan has not been forgotten, and many advanced races know of their existence. If it were an ordinary race, they would have long been forgotten in the river of time. Are you sure you're not mistaken? The legendary Angel clan, how could they descend upon our world? In the eyes of the high-ranking officials and powerful individuals of the kingdoms, how could their broken little world accommodate the Angel clan? The place where the Angel clan appears should be the vast and infinite myriad worlds battlefield. That is where the Angel clan can unleash their powerful war capabilities. Sir, this is absolutely true. I can confirm that they are the legendary angels. The mountain giant's expression was filled with fear as he said, and besides the seraphim and the fallen angels, I also saw underworld creatures that should not appear in our world, the rumored hellhound. Quote. All the high-ranking officials fell silent. One moment it's the seraphim, the next it's the fallen angels. And now even the hellhound has appeared. If it weren't daytime, they would suspect that this transcendent level mountain giant was talking in his sleep. Hellhound. Isn't that the guardian race of the underworld gate? Definitely an underworld creature. How could such an evil race mix with the sacred angel clan? According to common sense, when the hellhound appears, it should be burned to ashes by the sacred angels, and its soul should not be able to escape back to the underworld. By the way, Elder, and all the esteemed individuals. The transcendent level mountain giant suddenly spoke up. Before our city was invaded by the angel army, I also saw a throne angel city appear in the sky, shattering the clouds. As soon as these words were spoken, the entire temple fell into silence. After a moment, some high-ranking officials exclaimed, "Are you sure it was the city of angels?" Absolutely. The mountain giant nodded vigorously and said, "It was a white giant city spanning nearly 10,000 meters, with densely packed sacred angels on the city walls, and it was also equipped with a large number of magical energy cannons. Just by looking at it, you can tell that their war capabilities are extremely terrifying. Furthermore, the direction in which the city of angels disappeared is towards our capital. If nothing unexpected happens, that throne angel city will soon arrive here." Upon hearing this, the high-ranking officials and powerful individuals present had an impulse to beat the mountain giant on the spot. How could he leave such an important matter until the end to mention? The elderly elder also roared in anger, "Idiot, why didn't you say it earlier?" The mountain giant looked somewhat innocent and said, "Elder, you were the one who asked me about the situation of the enemy invading our city first." Quote. The elder was so angry that his eyes rolled back. Then he immediately shouted at the high-ranking officials and powerful individuals in the temple, "What are you all still standing around for?" Immediately, gather the army of the capital. Recall all the mountain giant warriors from the nearby cities and tribes to defend the capital. And activate the magic defense shield of the capital. This war concerns the life and death of our mountain giant kingdom, and there is absolutely no room for failure. 39%. Chapter 226 Your Majesty, the kingdom is in danger. The high-ranking members and powerful individuals in the temple of the giant kingdom all had twisted expressions. It was one thing for the army of angels to invade their core territory. But now even the city of angels had appeared. With one misstep, their mountain giant clan would be finished, and it was possible that the entire clan would be wiped out. Although not all mountain giants would die on the battlefield, a portion of them would fall into the embrace of the Lord of Holy Light under the angels' faith and magic. But what difference did that make from annihilation? In their eyes, mountain giants who believed in the Holy Light were no longer pure mountain giants. Elder, a high-ranking member suddenly spoke up, if we transfer all the mountain giant warriors over, won't the city and tribes they are guarding become defenseless and easily conquered by the army of angels? Do we even need those city and tribes? We worked so hard to establish them. Where is your brain? The elder glared angrily and said, the city of angels target is our capital. If the capital falls, what use are those city and tribes? We don't need them, not at all. We need to concentrate the kingdom's power and have a decisive battle with the army of angels. Understood. The scolded mountain giant high-ranking members were not angry. They solemnly nodded. The other high-ranking members and powerful individuals of the kingdom also felt a sense of impending doom, making it difficult for them to breathe. Since the establishment of the giant kingdom until now, nothing like this had ever happened. They had always been one of the overlords of the Dark Forest, ruling over a large number of affiliated intelligent races. Who could have imagined that disaster would suddenly befall their kingdom? Without hesitation, many high-ranking members and powerful individuals of the kingdom left the temple and quickly assembled the mountain giant army in the capital, while also issuing urgent mobilization orders to the surrounding city and tribes. Soon, the capital of the giant kingdom became like a secret war machine, rapidly mobilizing. At the same time, the city and tribes that received the orders also gathered their elite warriors and converged on the capital. Whether they arrived faster or the army of angels arrived faster was not very important. Those who arrived early would gather in the capital and definitely confront the army of angels. Those who arrived late would join forces from within and without to besiege the army of angels. At least, that was the plan of the high-ranking members of the giant kingdom. Elder, a high-ranking member of the kingdom said, now that the kingdom is facing a crisis, I think we should bring His Majesty and the great prophet out. As for comprehending the laws, we can discuss it later. I understand. The elder nodded. Before going into seclusion, His Majesty had said that he should not be disturbed no matter what happened, along with the great prophet. But now, the situation was urgent. The kingdom was facing the danger of annihilation. Even if he didn't want to disturb them, he had to. To put it bluntly, facing such a terrifying enemy is the angelic race. If he didn't act quickly, by the time His Majesty and the great prophet came out of seclusion, they might find that their home was gone. I will go to the Forbidden Land later. The elder said to the high-ranking members and powerful individuals present, you all can leave. Bring out everything that can enhance our war strength. We must use all our power to defend the capital. And all the magic cores, take them out. At that time, use the magic cannons on the city walls to bombard the city of angels. At this moment, a mountain giant high-ranking member interjected, Elder, is your memory failing? All the magic cores stored in our kingdom's treasury have been stolen. Quote. The Grand Elder's expression twisted instantly. He muttered under his breath, damn traitor. Then he angrily exclaimed, the kingdom's treasury has been stolen, can't you think of any other solutions? Gather all your small treasuries, as well as the magical cores from the other people in the capital, and even those from the city and tribe reserves. It will be enough to deal with this war. After the war, the kingdom will compensate you. After speaking, the Grand Elder added in his mind, if we can win the war. Just at that moment, a mountain giant seemed to have a sudden realization and said loudly, Grand Elder, I have finally figured something out. It must be the angel clan using their divine magic to make Woodrow and Agudaki betray our kingdom. It was also the angel clan that sent them back to our kingdom to plunder our treasury. A powerful mountain giant twitched his mouth and said, isn't this obvious? Why did it take you so long to figure it out? The mountain giant shook his head and said, that's not the point. The point is, why did the angel clan let Woodrow and Agudaki plunder our kingdom's treasury? Why? Because their city of angels needs energy. Without energy, it cannot be activated. The mountain giant said, even Benade is collecting magical cores from those tribes, because these magical cores are used to activate the city of angels. The angel clan is using our strategic resources to attack us, it's infuriating. The Grand Elder rubbed his forehead. It was better not to say anything, but once he did, he felt even more uncomfortable. All right, we all know you are a smart mountain giant, go and prepare for war. Don't be in such a hurry, Grand Elder, I haven't finished yet. I suspect that the force behind the angel clan is Paradise Town, and all the angels were summoned to the mortal realm by that overlord from another world. Shut up. My reason tells me that you should leave immediately. The forbidden land of the giant kingdom. Behind the central temple was a mountain several hundred meters high. One side of the mountain was carved with a huge statue of the Thunder Titan. On the other side of the mountain stood palaces made of what seemed like golden material. The Grand Elder used a special secret technique to enter the mountain and then arrived at one of the palaces. After countless spiritual calls, he finally summoned two massive figures. Two figures, one male and one female. Both were mountain giants over 20 meters tall. The male mountain giant was in his prime, exuding a domineering aura. He was the ruler of the giant kingdom, with the initial level of a demigod. The female mountain giant was elderly, like the Grand Elder. She was the great prophet of the giant kingdom, with a level as high as demigod late stage. In the giant kingdom, the prestige of this great prophet was even higher than that of the king, because she had witnessed the growth of at least 3 generations of giant kings. One more thing to mention. The lifespan of a saint-rank mountain giant is about 800 years. Demigods can live up to 3,000 years. The previous 2 kings died of old age because they failed to advance to demigod. Only this generation's king, under the full cultivation of the great prophet, reached the level of demigod. In simpler terms, she could die without any regrets. Elder Asa, the king of the giant kingdom, said angrily, if you don't give me a reasonable explanation, I swear I will tie you under the statue of the Titan true God until your other foot steps into the coffin. The elderly great prophet also turned her gaze towards the Grand Elder. A hint of dissatisfaction could be seen in her dim eyes. She was helping the king comprehend the power of the laws, but was forcibly interrupted. It was a very annoying thing. The Grand Elder quickly said, Your Majesty, please calm down. A disaster is approaching, and the kingdom needs you and the great prophet to stay. A disaster? What kind of disaster? Your Majesty, the disaster is the invasion of the angel clan that our kingdom is facing. The legendary fortress of war, the city of angels, is already heading towards our capital. Your Majesty, the kingdom is in imminent danger. 39%. Chapter 227 Elf Queen Brianna. Gather energy and fire. Upon hearing the words of the Grand Elder, the king of Giant Kingdom was completely bewildered. He began to suspect that he was experiencing auditory hallucinations. The elderly high prophet standing beside him had a stunned expression, as if she had seen a ghost. The legendary angel clan had invaded their kingdom's territory, and even the renowned city of angels had come, preparing to attack their capital. This seemed incredibly unbelievable. How long have I been in seclusion? The king asked. Not even a month, Your Majesty, replied the high prophet. The king of Giant Kingdom's expression twisted as he said, Then why do I feel like I've been in seclusion for 100 years? In the blink of an eye, the world seems to have undergone drastic changes. For him, who had a lifespan of 3,000 years, a mere month was indeed just a blink of an eye. The heavily wrinkled face of the Grand Elder twitched a few times before he said, Your Majesty, it is meaningless to talk about these things now. We should find a way to protect our capital and our people. The king of Giant Kingdom immediately released his spiritual consciousness, radiating it throughout the capital from the forbidden land at its center. After a moment, he spoke, You have done a great job in defending the capital. There is nothing more I can improve. The Grand Elder cautiously asked, Your Majesty, according to the ancient records of our kingdom, the Angel Clan's fortress, the City of Angels, possesses such formidable strength that it can kill gods. Is this true? If this was true, then he felt that there was no need for Giant Kingdom to defend the capital at all. They might as well surrender directly. The king of Giant Kingdom shook his head and said, I cannot give you a more definite answer. The information I know about the Angel Clan also comes from the ancient records of our kingdom. I can only tell you, he continued, no matter what the outcome of this war is, our kingdom must stand firm to the end. We inherit the bloodline of the Thunder Titans, and naturally, we must protect the glory of the Titan clan. Sacrificing ourselves on the battlefield is the most sacred destiny for us, the mountain giants. I understand, Your Majesty, the Grand Elder solemnly nodded. He then left the palace and returned to the capital to oversee the defense work. Watching the Grand Elder's disappearing figure, the elderly High Prophet spoke, Your Majesty, the Angel clan has even mobilized the City of Angels. It will be difficult for us to withstand their attack with our strength alone. We need assistance from the Elf Garden, the Naga Kingdom, and even the Bone Temple. She said. If there is time, gather the forces of the affiliated tribes of our kingdom and concentrate them in the capital to fight the angel army to the death. But time is running out. The king of Giant Kingdom shook his head. The angel army was coming with the city of angels. They might descend upon the capital at any moment. By the time the legions of those affiliated tribes arrived, it would be too late. As long as he had one more day, he could gather a sufficiently large reinforcement army. But the problem was, would the Angel clan give him that opportunity? Obviously, it was impossible. This war can only rely on ourselves, the king declared. But before that, I need to inform the Elf Queen about the arrival of the Angel clan in this world. If we, Giant Kingdom, are defeated, she can be mentally prepared in advance. Wise decision, Your Majesty, the High Prophet said with a serious expression. The Angel clan is a terrifying race that worships war. They once swept through countless myriad worlds. The number of world law spirits slain by the Angel clan is unknown. Compared to the brutal void demons, she continued, the Angel clan is just a prefix added to the divine and light camp. If this world is conquered by the Angel clan, the intelligent races of this world will no longer have freedom. There are only two outcomes: purification or becoming followers of the Lord of Holy Light. If we are defeated, she said, the intelligent races of this world must unite, just as they did when they expelled the demons, and drive the Angel clan out. The High Prophet of Giant Kingdom directly linked the angels with the demons. The King of Giant Kingdom also deeply agreed with this viewpoint. At least in their eyes, angels were not much better than demons. Without hesitation, the King of Giant Kingdom took out a palm-sized leaf from his spatial equipment. The leaf was emerald green, with clear and glossy veins. It looked as if it had been crafted from supreme-grade jade. As the King of Giant Kingdom infused his own law power into the leaf, it immediately emitted a brilliant green light, shining in the nearby space. After a moment, a figure slowly appeared. She wore a crown and a golden gown, with an exquisite face, a tall and graceful figure, and fair and jade-like skin. Her eyes and waist-length hair were both emerald green. Her ears were the pointed characteristic ears of the elves. She stood with her hands behind her back, slightly tilting her chin upwards, revealing her delicate swan-like neck. Her beauty was flawless, and she exuded a noble temperament. In comparison, Doris, the ancient great elf, paled in comparison. Because she was the ruler of the elf garden, a noble elf queen. Her status among the natural elves was second only to the queen of the sacred land of elves. King Von, Queen Brianna, the two rulers greeted each other. Elf Queen Brianna smiled slightly, her emerald green eyes forming a pair of beautiful crescents, and asked, I wonder why King Von suddenly contacted me. Is there something important? King Von immediately recounted the arrival of the angel race and the impending attack on the Giant Kingdom's capital. After listening, the smile on Elf Queen Brianna's face disappeared instantly. Her moist lips slightly parted. This was not the demeanor of an elf queen. But it also represented her current state of extreme shock. King Von, I believe you wouldn't deceive me, but this is truly unbelievable. Yes, I don't want to believe it either, but it's the truth. King Von said, Queen, you may pray now. Pray that our mountainous giant kingdom can repel the angel army's attack, otherwise it will be your turn to face war. Elf Queen Brianna took a deep breath and said solemnly, Is there anything that the elf garden can do to help? It's too late. King Von said, I contacted you just to let the elf garden prepare mentally. I understand. Elf Queen Brianna nodded. Just as she was about to say something, she noticed a sudden change in the expression of King Von, the giant king. What's wrong? They should be coming, the angel army. King Von heard countless exclamations coming from the capital and quickly walked out of the palace. Looking up, he immediately saw a towering white city flying across the distant sky, shattering countless clouds, forcibly creating a wide path in the sky, as if tearing the sky in half. The momentum that swept everything away made King Von gasp for breath. The great prophet following him also stiffened, filled with shock. Only Elf Queen Penina, who was thousands of kilometers away in the elf garden, was puzzled and asked, King Von, what do you see? At this moment, she was in the elf garden. In front of her, there was only the stiff back of King Von. Just as King Von could only see her, unable to see anything else. After all, this was not a video call. It was more like a projection. In a low voice, King Von said, "I see the legendary city of angels, crossing the sky and arriving. I sense countless sacred auras coming from the city, from the angel army. Queen, prepare for war. Perhaps, this will be our last meeting." Upon hearing this, Elf Queen Penina's expression on her beautiful cheeks became extremely complicated. She hesitated, not knowing what to say. After a long time, she finally spoke, "Take care, Your Majesty." King Von nodded. Then he ended the conversation with Elf Queen Penina and flew straight out of the forbidden area. The great prophet quickly followed. The strength of the giant kingdom was still very powerful, with 2 demigod-level powerhouses. But now, the giant kingdom was facing the angel army that came with the city of angels. Whether they could defend the capital from being captured was still unknown. In the blink of an eye, the city of angels arrived just a few kilometers away from the giant kingdom's capital. Hovering in the sky, on the towering city walls, stood a group of high-ranking angels led by Angelia. Apart from Angelia, who was a 10-winged angel, the rest were all 8-winged angels. There was only one 6-winged angel, Elena, who usually served Lin Yu. Lady Angelia, 8-winged Dominion Angel Catherine, wearing a crown, respectfully said, "Shall we send angels down to persuade surrender first?" Secretary Anne, with an indifferent expression, said, "The capital of the mountainous giants is covered by a magic defense barrier, and a large number of mountainous giants are converging from all directions. Obviously, they are prepared to defend the capital to the death. No need to waste time, conquer the city directly with force." "Yes, my lady." 8-winged Dominion Angel Catherine respectfully obeyed the order. Then she raised the scepter in her hand and gave the command, "Charge up the cannons." In an instant, the 12-winged throne angel statue in the center of the city lit up with dazzling light. Immediately after, the sacred magic cannons and the bright giant cannons mounted on the walls of the city of angels quickly began to charge up. The muzzles were aimed down at the capital of the mountainous giants. 39%. Chapter 228. Whether the world is in chaos or not, Bountiful Great Lands has the final say. Paradise Town. Lin Yu peacefully lay on the recliner, enjoying the massage from radiant Saintess Tiffany. Suddenly, he spoke up, "The war has begun." Through the connection of the faith line, he could sense that the angel army had already arrived at the capital of the giant kingdom. Additionally, there were special kill notifications from the myriad worlds floating island, indicating that the fallen angel army was continuously attacking the city and tribes of the giant kingdom. Although the war had just begun not long ago, he had already obtained a large number of architectural blueprints and stronghold treasure chests from destroying those cities and tribes. Among them, most were silver-level chests, with a few being gold-level chests. There was also one diamond-level chest, which he obtained when he destroyed a very powerful mountain giant city. So far, this was the first diamond-level chest that Lin Yu had obtained, but it definitely wouldn't be the last. Apart from having a large number of cities, the giant kingdom also had a capital. Lin Yu had reason to believe that after capturing the capital of the giant kingdom, the level of the stronghold treasure chests he would obtain would be higher, with a high probability of obtaining rainbow crystal-level chests. This war alone can make me rich just by obtaining stronghold treasure chests. It won't be long before I gather 40,000 glory points to exchange for the divine weapon origin staff. Lin Yu squinted his eyes. His thighs were being kneaded very comfortably. After this proactive massage, Radiant Saintess Tiffany had completely entered the role of a maid. In the future, she would strive to become a perfect maid. On the other hand, Lin Yu opened the island chat channel and suddenly saw a message related to Bountiful Great Lands. This message also sparked a heated discussion in the chat channel. "Brothers, the 3 human kingdoms of Bountiful Great Lands have gone to war. The local human kingdoms are at war. Weren't their enemies the professionals from other worlds like us? How come they're fighting among themselves? The specific situation is unclear, but the war has already begun. According to the intelligence I've gathered, it's the Holy See leading 2 human kingdoms to unilaterally declare war on the kingdom of Kilias. Not only are the human legions mobilizing in the city I'm in, but the followers of the Church of Light are also gathering. Damn, Bountiful Great Lands is in chaos. Can we take advantage of this? Killing monsters in the wilderness and killing local human professionals both reward us with primal energy. With 3 kingdoms at war, the number of local human professionals participating could reach millions. Even king-level powerhouses are cannon fodder on such a battlefield. Those who aren't afraid of death, go for it. Then forget it. I've only just reached level 5. This war broke out too suddenly. My intuition tells me that there must be hidden motives behind this war. I heard that the kingdom of Kilias has the support of the dragon nests on the 36 islands, so it's highly likely that the dragon nests will send their dragon army to participate in this war. Let's just kill them all. If the main force of the dragon nests is annihilated on the battlefield, we professionals on the 36 islands can organize and raid the dragon's homeland. Awesome. They really dare to think of anything. Looking at the information in the chat channel, Lin Yu couldn't help but sigh at the speed of the Holy See. Just last night, he received the order, and early this morning, they mobilized the armies of 2 human kingdoms and the power of the church to wage an undeclared war against the kingdom of Kilias. It could be called lightning fast. Tiffany, my lord, what are your orders? Radiant Saintess raised her head, looking at the great lord of holy light with some confusion. Lin Yu's gaze lingered on Tiffany's exquisite and beautiful face as he asked, "You have the most understanding of the power of the bountiful great lands. Do you think that with the combined strength of the Radiant Church and the 2 human kingdoms, we can defeat the kingdom of Kilias, backed by the dragon's nest?" "Most likely, there won't be a problem." Tiffany respectfully replied, "Although the strength of the dragon clan is formidable, they wouldn't go to war with us, the Radiant Church, just for the kingdom of Kilias. Unless something unexpected happens, the kingdom of Kilias will surely be defeated. However, during the war, it is highly possible that the kingdom of Kilias and the dragon's nest will seek the intervention of the nature elves. In our world, there is a saying, whether the world is chaotic or not, it is determined by the abundance of fertile lands. Therefore, all races hope to see the fertile lands in a state of peace." That saying does sound interesting. Lin Yu chuckled and said, "Doesn't that mean that once I control the bountiful great lands, conquering the world won't be far off?" Tiffany nodded and said, "This world has a total of 8 regions: Barren Desert, Lake of Silence, and St. Cabel Snowfield. They have scarce resources and weak power, so they are not a concern. After you dominate the Dark Forest and the bountiful great lands, the remaining opponents will only be the Beast Clan Court in Runkle Prairie, the Dragon's Nest in the 36 Bay Islands, and the Nature Elves in the Sacred Land of Elves. The Elf Garden in the Dark Forest is a branch of the Nature Elves. The headquarters of the Nature Elves is in the Far East, in the Sacred Land of Elves, with the Elf Queen as their leader. Oh, and there are also the Sea Clan. The Sea Clan is loyal to the legendary Medusa Queen. However, the Sea Clan hasn't appeared on land for a long time, so there's no rush to deal with them after resolving these regions. At that time, the whole world will be under your control." Speaking up to this point, Radiant Saintess Tiffany also became excited. However, when she thought about the great Lord of Holy Light in front of her, conquering this world seemed insignificant. The Angel Clan of the past, sweeping through countless worlds. The followers of the Lord of Holy Light can be said to be spread throughout the myriad worlds of the universe. The Radiant Church in this world is just one of the faith forces of the Lord of Holy Light among countless worlds. Although Tiffany didn't understand why the Lord of Holy Light didn't directly conquer this world with his great power, even the aura he emitted was only at the saint rank level. But that didn't hinder her admiration for the Lord of Holy Light. Because she could also clearly sense the connection of faith between her and the Lord of Holy Light. This was something that had never happened before entering the Dark Forest. "I look forward to that day." Lin Yu smiled faintly. Just at this moment, he suddenly saw the constantly flashing friends list. Opening it, he saw a message from Bright Village Chief. After joining the Radiant Alliance channel earlier, Lin Yu accepted the friend request from the Bright Village Chief and received some information about the members of the Grand Alliance, as well as a list that was not friendly towards him. Golden Behemoth Overlord was one of them. "Sha Qingyu wants to join me." Looking at the message sent by the Bright Village Chief, Lin Yu was somewhat surprised, but not too much. The reason for his slight surprise was that Sha Qingyu was, after all, an Apex-level overlord, possessing the Apex-level unit, Frost Dragon. Moreover, she was also the leader of the First Alliance, Midsummer Night, with nearly 200,000 Alliance members. The speed at which she lowered her head was a bit fast. 39%. Chapter 229 Fight Back, Fight Back. After considering for a moment, Lin Yu replied to Village Chief Guangming, "Tell Sha Qingyu that when I establish my kingdom, if she is still alive, I welcome her to join, but the conditions will not change just because she is an Apex-level overlord. Okay, boss, I'll tell her right away. Village Chief Guangming replied quickly. As the number one lackey under the Lord of Holy Light, he had to constantly pay attention to the boss's movements. Most importantly, he had to closely follow the boss's footsteps. Not a single step could be wrong. Otherwise, those radiant missionaries under his command would definitely not let him off the hook. Being tied to a cross and roasted was just the beginning. As an overlord in the Radiant camp, he, like other Radiant overlords, had been bound to Lin Yu's warship since the moment they first descended. When the boss eats meat, he drinks soup. When the boss is unhappy, he suffers. This is the damn fate. Turn off the Friends tab. Lin Yu closed his eyes and lay on the recliner, continuing to enjoy the services of Radiant Saintess Tiffany. In terms of massage technique, Tiffany still had room for improvement, but her strength was just right. At this moment, little Lolita Si Tang also ran over. Imitating Radiant Saintess Tiffany, she reached out her little hand to massage his shoulders. This made Tiffany become alert. The position of a maid couldn't be taken away by this plant-like creature. As for Lin Yu, he was enjoying it. In no time at all, he fell asleep. But shortly after he fell asleep, the dark elf mother tree standing in the distance suddenly underwent a mutation. The tree, hundreds of meters tall, trembled slightly. The tree trunk, branches, and even the leaves all emitted a rich light. This scene surprised both Radiant Saintess Tiffany and little Lolita Si Tang, because within that dazzling light contained pure divine and radiant power. This was very contrary to common sense. After all, this was a dark elf mother tree, in control of dark elemental magic. The elves it gave birth to were all clearly evil dark elves. How could it release divine and radiant power? Both the big and small were puzzled by this. Not long after, they saw the divine and radiant power emanating from the dark elf mother tree gather together as if it had consciousness, eventually forming a light sphere with a diameter of about 2 meters. This light sphere floated in midair. It did not immediately give birth to elves. Instead, it continued to absorb the divine and radiant power released by the dark elf mother tree. Tiffany and little Lolita Si Tang exchanged glances. They could both see what the other was thinking. The dark elf mother tree was about to give birth to special elves, and they were related to the divine and radiant attributes. Radiant Saintess Tiffany arrived in Paradise Town yesterday evening. She had personally witnessed the dark elf mother tree giving birth to dark elves multiple times. Little Lolita Si Tang had experienced the same. Just a moment ago, she was playing with several newly born dark elves. So, they were not surprised that the dark elf mother tree could give birth to elves in this special way, different from other elf mother trees. What surprised them was why the dark elf mother tree could give birth to elves with divine and radiant attributes. The alignment attributes were completely mismatched. It must be related to the great Lord of Holy Light. The Lord of Holy Light is the supreme being, omniscient and omnipotent. It is normal for any strange things to happen in his domain. These are the thoughts in the mind of Radiant Saintess Tiffany. As for little Lolita Si Tang, she didn't think too much. She quickly shifted her attention to Lin Yu and happily massaged her sleeping master's shoulders. In the capital of the giant kingdom, a massive mountain giant flew into the sky. He was a powerful figure in the giant kingdom, with the rank of saint rank late stage. Looking at the enormous cannons emitting dazzling light on the walls of the City of Angels, he couldn't help but swallow his saliva. He had seen this kind of magical cannon before, but the ones mounted on the City of Angels were the first he had ever seen. Truly a legendary weapon. Any of these magical cannons would make me tremble, as if once hit, even as a saint-rank powerhouse, I would be instantly annihilated. Comparing them, the magical cannons of the giant kingdom did not have such terrifying power. The most powerful magical cannon they had could only threaten a newly promoted saint-rank professional. However, he didn't know. In front of him was only a small-scale City of Angels. And its military power had not reached its peak. Controlling this small-scale City of Angels was only an incomplete consciousness of the 12-winged throne angel Vivian. If her true form descended, the magical cannons of the City of Angels would easily be able to kill demigods. And the strongest attack could even slay the so-called immortal true gods. In this regard, the information recorded in the ancient books of the giant kingdom was indeed correct. Stop! The saint-rank mountain giant roared at the high-ranking archangels standing on the walls of the City of Angels. This is the capital of our mountain giant clan. You have intruded without permission. Do you want to provoke? Suddenly, his roar came to a halt. Because he sensed that a magical cannon was aimed at him. He immediately changed his tone and said, "The Sacred Angel Clan, everything can be negotiated. Our kingdom's king is also very willing to sit down with your legion commander for peaceful talks." However, the response he received was a brilliant beam of light. With a loud bang, the beam of light tore through space and directly struck him. This saint-rank mountain giant was scared out of his wits. Without hesitation, he fled, not daring to withstand the bombardment from the City of Angels even with his domain. Even though he was powerful and quick to react, he narrowly avoided being hit by the beam of light. If he had been a little slower, he would have been struck by the beam. These angels are overbearing and unreasonable. There is simply no way to negotiate with them. Without saying another word, the saint-rank mountain giant retreated to the capital. At the same time, more magical cannons fired. Brilliant beams of light shot straight towards the capital of the mountain giants. Boom, boom, boom. Accompanied by the intense bombardment, all the beams of light struck the magical defense shield of the giant capital, causing the shield to tremble incessantly, with endless sparks splattering. Counterattack, give me a counterattack. The elder holding a withered wooden staff stood on the city wall of the giant capital and roared, "Activate all the magical cannons, bombard the City of Angels. Let those angels know that our mountain giant clan is not to be trifled with." Yes, elder. Soon, the magical cannons of the giant capital also fired in unison. Thousands of magical cannons simultaneously bombarded the City of Angels suspended in the clouds. 39%. Chapter 230 Breaking the City. Faith collapsed. Compared to the City of Angels, the number of magic cannons in the giant kingdom's capital is greater. There are at least 3,000 of them. They can be seen everywhere, on the city walls and inside the city. This is because the giant kingdom has brought out all of its stock. Under the control of the mountain giants, the magic cannons continuously bombard the sky above the City of Angels. Except for a few misses, the majority of the magic cannons hit accurately. However, although the hit rate is high, the destructive power is lacking. They can't break through the defense of the City of Angels at all. It can be seen that the City of Angels is also covered by a radiant shield and countless angelic runes are engraved on the walls, exclusive to the angelic race. The main purpose of these runes is to enhance the defense of the City of Angels. At present, the defensive power of the City of Angels has not reached its peak. Because it has not received the amplification of the true power of the 12-winged throne angel Vivian. However, withstanding the bombardment of the giant kingdom's magic cannons is not a problem at all. After several rounds of bombardment, the giant kingdom has consumed a large amount of magic cores, but it has not caused any substantial damage to the City of Angels floating in the sky. Not even a single brick has been shattered. On the other hand, the magic cannon attacks from the City of Angels have dealt a huge blow to the defense of the giant kingdom. The thick city walls have been blasted with one huge pit after another. The bricks made with magical materials are as fragile as tofu under the bombardment of the City of Angels, almost collapsing after 2 rounds of bombardment. The magic defense shield enveloping the giant kingdom has also been severely damaged. Cracks like spider webs have appeared on the surface, and the core elemental magic runes are crumbling one after another. This is because the attacking power is too strong, exceeding the limits that these elemental magic runes can bear, causing them to crumble. And this also means that the magic defense shield enveloping the giant kingdom cannot last for too long. Maybe after 2 more rounds of bombardment, it will collapse on the spot. The mountain giants inside the city have also noticed the almost collapsing magic defense shield, and they all became nervous. Your Majesty, the attack from the City of Angels is too strong, our defense shield won't hold for long. Above the central temple, thousands of huge figures stood tall. Leading them was King Bon, who had reached the demigod realm, and the great prophet. Behind them were nearly 100 high-ranking officials of the kingdom and saint-rank powerhouses. And further behind were thousands of mountain giants in the transcendent realm. Just by looking at this lineup, one could tell how powerful the war strength of the mountain giant kingdom was, something that overlord-class professionals at the current stage couldn't challenge at all. Even if they were given another year to develop, it would be almost impossible to conquer such a force. Only Lin Yu, who didn't follow the rules, could do it. Not only did he summon a massive army of angels, he even brought out the City of Angels. Perhaps, even the world rules of the floating island didn't expect Lin Yu's territorial power to grow so fast. After all, if it knew everything, the interdimensional teleportation array wouldn't have been broken by it. King Von looked up at the white giant city floating in the sky. It could be seen that it was constantly being hit by numerous beams of magic cannons. However, this white giant city was like an indestructible divine city. The kingdom's magic cannons couldn't cause any damage to it. They couldn't even shake it. This made him, a demigod powerhouse, feel a sense of powerlessness and despair. How much longer until the warriors from the various cities and tribes can reach the capital? To your majesty, the elder said, the fastest legions will take at least half an hour, and then we will receive support from about 50,000 elite soldiers. The follow-up forces of hundreds of thousands will arrive one after another within 3 hours. 3 hours. Whether the capital will still exist after 3 hours is a question. Spread the order, prepare for battle. The great Titan true God witnesses our glory. Even if we die on the battlefield, the Titan true God will still protect us. As he spoke, King Von cast his gaze on the Titan statue, backing the Forbidden Land. It was hundreds of meters tall, standing tall and majestic. It was the largest statue in the mountain giant kingdom. It also carried the faith of the mountain giants in the Titan true God. Our ancestors have always been watching us. Upon hearing these words, the elder, along with the high-ranking officials and powerhouses present, trembled. The panic in their expressions and eyes quickly dissipated. Every single one of them became filled with fighting spirit and a soaring killing intent. Yes, the Titan's ancestors watched over them. They had no reason to retreat, nor any reason to bow their heads to the angelic race. That would be a blasphemy against the glory of the Titans. Soon, King Von's words spread throughout the entire capital. Tens of thousands of mountain giants within the city were all filled with high morale and boiling fighting spirit. All the mountain giants had already mentally prepared themselves for the coexistence or annihilation of the capital. Dot. Boom, 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 boom. The roar of the magic cannons shook the heavens and the earth. Monsters and demons within a radius of 100 kilometers in the wilderness were all scared away. They also sensed the aura of war and death. They dared not stay in one place. The magic cannons of Giant King's capital and City of Angels continued to bombard each other, but the damage caused was vastly different. The walls of Giant King's capital were almost turned into honeycombs. In some places, they had even been pierced through. On the other hand, the floating City of Angels in the sky remained unscathed. It could be said that, with abundant energy, even a small-scale City of Angels would be almost invincible in this world. No force could destroy it. Finally, another round of bombardment passed. The magic defense shield enveloping Giant King's capital collapsed. The eastern wall, which was being focused on, seemed to have been affected as well, collapsing into a pile of giant stone ruins. Finally, a face-to-face decisive battle. I have slain dragons, killed balrogs, and torn apart sea monsters, but I have never fought against the legendary angels. If I die in battle, it will be worth it. King Von took out 2 giant hammers from his spatial equipment, staring fiercely at the City of Angels floating in the sky. He could sense that a large number of angels were gathered inside the city, and there was even one at the level of a demigod. My opponent is her, King Von thought. Dot. On the walls of City of Angels. 8-winged Dominion Angel, Catherine, respectfully said, Lady Angelia, the enemy's shield has been destroyed. Should we immediately send the angelic army to attack? No need. Secretary Anne looked down at the highly motivated army of mountain giants within the capital, her expression indifferent. Continue the bombardment. Destroy the will of those mountain giants. It will be easier to spread our faith later. Yes, my lady. Catherine waved her staff. Immediately, the thunderous sound of cannons rang out once again. A dense and dazzling beam of light shot straight into the capital city. In an instant, there were dense explosion areas appearing within the city, and the damage caused by each beam reached several hundred meters. Mushroom clouds rose one after another. Everything within these explosion areas, including buildings, streets, and mountain giants, all disappeared and were annihilated by the terrifying power. Just one round of bombardment caused immense casualties and damage to the capital city. One beam even hit the towering Titan statue. The head of the statue was directly blown off. Seeing this scene, the mountain giants in the city, including King Von, the great prophet, and the high-ranking officials of the kingdom, as well as the saint-rank powerhouses, all stood still in shock. The Titan statue represented their belief in the Titan true God. Now, the statue was destroyed. Their firm beliefs seemed to have been severely shaken, and they all fell into a state of confusion and despair. Just at this moment, all the mountain giants witnessed a scene that shattered their beliefs. Within the headless statue, there was a huge white sphere slowly flying out. A mountain giant exclaimed, "That is the power of faith that we offer to the Titan true God." How can there be so much? Could it be that over the years, the great Titan true God has never accepted our faith? Could the legends be true? This world is a forsaken place by the gods. Have all the races in the world been abandoned by the gods? These words reverberated throughout the entire capital city and shook the inner world of all the mountain giants. They couldn't believe it. The Titans, whom their tribes had unwaveringly believed in for so many years, had never paid attention to them. They even regarded the power of their faith, which they worshipped, as worthless. This was a huge blow to their beliefs. However, the blow did not end there. Under the gaze of countless mountain giants, the massive ball of light quickly flew out of the capital city and headed towards the city of angels floating in the distant sky. In the end, it was caught by an elegant and noble beautiful angel. Take it back and purify it. It will be helpful for our Lord's ascension to godhood. Saying that, Secretary and put the ball of light, which carried the accumulated power of faith from countless ages in the giant kingdom, into the Skull King's belt. The power of faith from different gods has different attributes. To absorb the power of faith from other gods, it needs to be processed through special means. Moreover, stealing the power of faith from other gods is a grave taboo. This is a declaration of war, and one that will not end until death. However, Secretary and didn't care. The angelic race is not afraid of those thunderous titans. 40%. Chapter 231 Titan Supremacy. The royal capital of the giant kingdom was shrouded in silence. All the mountain giants seemed to have lost their souls. Before this, their faith was unwavering. Even though the so-called miracles had never appeared, they still devoutly believed in the Titan true God. They inherited the bloodline of the Thunder Titan clan. They inherited the will of the Thunder Titan. They regarded the Thunder Titan clan as their ancestors and worshipped them as the god of faith. For countless ages, they had always believed that the great Titan true God had been protecting them. They believed in the Titan and followed the direction guided by their tribe. For so many years, the mountain giants had never betrayed their faith in the Titan. The immense power of faith carried within the light spheres showed just how devout the mountain giant clan was. However, now they discovered that everything they had done before was just wishful thinking. The great Titan true God had never paid attention to them. He even turned a blind eye to the faith they had contributed. Or it could be said that the Titan true God had long forgotten them, and they were abandoned believers. How could they accept this? Facing death, the mountain giants could be fearless. But the collapse of their faith could make them feel what despair and fear truly meant. There were even mountain giants who chose to commit suicide on the spot, dying for their faith. And the number of mountain giants choosing suicide was not small, but rather many. They were fanatic believers of the Titan true God and could not accept this reality. Your Majesty, has the ancestral Titan truly abandoned us? I have no law manifestation, but if he hasn't abandoned us, why does the power of faith we contribute to the Titan true God still remain in the idols? Faced with the elder's inquiry, King Von fell into silence. He couldn't answer this question because even his own faith had begun to waver. In the myriad worlds ruled by the gods, a race without the protection of the true God had no future or hope, no matter how high their bloodline rank was. The mountain giants believed in the Titan. The dragons in the dragon's nest believed in the dragon god. The nature elves believed in the nature and elf goddess. Even the humans in the fertile lands had their own beliefs, such as the goddess of light, the goddess of darkness, the goddess of alchemy, the goddess of magic, and so on. All intelligent beings had their own god of faith. Regardless of whether these gods of faith held high or low positions, in the eyes of their believers, they were supreme, and they prayed to receive their protection. This was the survival law of countless intelligent races in the myriad worlds. But now, the mountain giant clan, who devoutly believed in the Titan true God, had been abandoned by their own god of faith without their knowledge. And they had been deceived for so many years. Looking at the despairing eyes of the elder and the despairing eyes of the kingdom's high-ranking officials and saint-rank powerhouses, King Von took a deep breath and slowly said, I can sense that there are countless Titan true gods in the endless void, where they have their own divine realms. This inexplicable feeling is the connection of faith. The great Titan true gods have not abandoned us. They have not descended with miracles or taken away the faith from the idols. It only indicates one thing, that this world prohibits the descent of the Titan true gods. King Von's words not only comforted the elder and the high-ranking officials, but also comforted himself. Because he knew how devastating it would be for the giant kingdom to lose their faith. It would even affect other giant races in this world. They are all worshippers of the true God, the Titans. How could they allow their faith to crumble? Soon, King Von's words spread throughout the entire capital, giving a glimmer of hope to countless despairing giants and temporarily boosting their morale. The great true God, the Titans, has always favored us. If we die gloriously in battle, we will have the chance to return to the embrace of the true God. The Titans are supreme. The Titans are supreme. Inside the city, countless giants roared in madness. Angry giants swung their warhammers and shouted, "That angel has stolen the power of faith that we dedicated to the true God. We must kill her and reclaim our faith." Kill, kill, kill. For a moment, the furious cries of slaughter filled the entire capital, even tearing through the clouds in the sky. But at this moment, intense beams of light descended from the sky. Amidst the violent explosions, the city suffered immense casualties once again. The bombardment from the City of Angels not only destroyed a large number of magical cannons within the city, it also killed tens of thousands of giants. This was because, due to the angle, only the magical cannons on one side of the city walls could attack the giant capital. If all the sacred magical cannons and the luminous giant cannons on all four sides of the city walls could be used, the 2 rounds of attacks would have completely devastated the giant army within the city. But even so, these 2 rounds of attacks were enough to severely damage the morale and fearlessness of the giants. "Your Majesty," the Grand Elder urgently said, "if we allow the City of Angels to continue bombarding us like this, our capital will be reduced to ruins sooner or later, and the casualties within the city's army will be extremely heavy. By then, it will be even more difficult to repel the angelic army." In reality, he was already considering an escape route. But not his own escape route, but the escape route for the tribe. Just as King Von said, he had already put one foot in the grave, so it didn't matter if he died. What was important was the future of the tribe. They were brave giants and not afraid of death, but that didn't mean they were foolish. Knowing that they couldn't win, yet still going to their deaths, would be pure stupidity, no different from a block of wood or a 2-headed demon. "Yasha, we cannot retreat from this war." King Von knew what the Grand Elder was thinking. But as the ruler of the kingdom, he couldn't flee from battle, otherwise, even if he successfully escaped, what face would he have to continue sitting on the throne? "Great Prophet, follow me and attack the City of Angels." "As you command, Your Majesty." Without hesitation, 2 figures emanating the terrifying aura of demigods rushed towards the City of Angels. Behind them, the Grand Elder and other high-ranking members of the kingdom were in a state of panic. "Grand Elder, what should we do?" "Charge forward." The Grand Elder gritted his teeth and said, "Wherever His Majesty is, we will be there. Even if it costs us our lives, we must help His Majesty break through the defenses of the City of Angels." Upon hearing this, the high-ranking members nodded in agreement. In the next moment, thousands of figures soared into the sky. Among them, there were nearly 100 saint-rank powerhouses, while the rest were transcendent professionals. Almost at the same time, the intense sound of artillery suddenly ceased. Immediately after, a dense swarm of holy angels flew out from the City of Angels, like a torrent, crashing into the legion of powerful warriors from the giant kingdom. 40%. Chapter 232. If you kill them, how can I improve my level? The mountain giants are not afraid of war, and the angels are equally fearless. In the myriad worlds, the angel race has gained a formidable reputation as a warrior race. In this regard, the Thunder Titan clan, which the mountain giants believe in, cannot compare to the angels. To put it bluntly, the Holy Demon War that took place millions of years ago. If it weren't for the divine angels leading the charge and sweeping through all directions, the myriad worlds battlefield would have changed hands long ago. How could the powerful races, including the Thunder Titan clan, overlook the myriad worlds? Dare to come out, seeing a large number of high-ranking angels flying out of the City of Angels. King Von and the Great Prophet were not surprised but delighted. Because these high-ranking angels were the core main force of the angel army. The highest being saint rank, the lowest being transcendent. If these high-ranking angels were killed, the ordinary angels would not be a concern. At least they believed that the fearless army of mountain giants could definitely defeat those ordinary angels on the battlefield. After all, they had more numbers. There were only tens of thousands of ordinary angels in the City of Angels. But their elite mountain giants in the capital had a scale of hundreds of thousands. In addition, a large number of mountain giant warriors gathered from all directions, and the overall strength of the army would only become stronger, with a complete chance of annihilating this angel army. Of course, the premise was that the City of Angels would no longer continue to bombard the capital. Without any hesitation, King Von and the Great Prophet immediately released their respective powers of law. The power of law, the power of thunder. In addition, the great prophet also mastered an additional law of wind. Wind combined with thunder creates a storm. If this great prophet obtained an extraordinary opportunity and successfully achieved the reverse evolution of bloodline, she would have a high chance of directly advancing to become a storm titan. The storm titan and the thunder titan are different titans. There is no stronger or weaker, just different powers of law. But if they must be compared, the former may have a slight advantage. The power of law from King Von and the great prophet directly manifested as a purple sea of thunder, sweeping towards the high-ranking angels coming towards them. They intended to destroy the core main force of the angel army. However, this kind of thing was impossible to happen. Because Angelia, who was leading this war, would not let these high-ranking angels die in vain. She waved her right hand. The space within a radius of 10,000 meters instantly distorted. And centered around King Von and the great prophet, the space within several thousand kilometers directly collapsed, shattering the vast purple sea of thunder, and quickly reassembled, forming an independent space that enveloped the two demigod-level mountain giants. With just one move, the crisis of the high-ranking angels was resolved. They did not slow down and continued to charge towards the high-level and powerful beings of the giant kingdom. Soon, the war broke out. Thousands of powerful mountain giants against approximately 1,000 high-ranking angels. It was almost a 4-to-1 ratio. But even with such an unequal ratio, as soon as they engaged in battle, many powerful mountain giants were instantly killed. The high-ranking angel army, led by the 8-winged angels, was like a bulldozer, overwhelming the mountain giant powerhouses, who were no match at all. At the same time, endless rays of light fell from the void, enveloping the powerful mountain giants on the battlefield. Those were the faith spells from the divine art level angel. Pink arrows also shot through, piercing one mountain giant powerhouse after another. These were the love arrows from the angel of love. Any mountain giant powerhouse hit by the love arrows would immediately appear by the side of their beloved in the first moment. War and such things are no longer important to them. What is important is igniting the spark of love. This has also accelerated the collapse of the camp of the powerful mountain giants. At first glance, the camp composed of thousands of powerful mountain giants is already in chaos. Some are being chased by angels. Some are expressing their love for each other. Some have twisted expressions as they resist the erosion of their souls by faith magic. In short, everything is a mess. In the rear, Angelia stands on the city wall of the City of Angels. She seems to have anticipated such a battle situation. As early as yesterday, she gained a deep understanding of the strength of the Giant King's capital through the intelligence provided by the 3 mountain giants, Woodrow, Agudaki, and Benate. After yesterday's day and night hunting, coupled with the practice in the spirit field, many angels have achieved bloodline evolution and ascended to higher positions and levels. Looking at the entire Holy Angel Army, there are nearly 180,000 troops. Among them, there are already more than 50 angels at the saint rank level, and nearly 1,000 angels at the transcendent level. With such a lineup, they can completely sweep the legion of the Giant Kingdom's powerful warriors. That's why Angelia dispatched the Fallen Angel Legion to clean up the surrounding cities and tribes. Otherwise, she wouldn't have divided her forces. By the way, the first fallen angel summoned by Lin Yu, Gladys, also achieved bloodline evolution last night, advancing from a 6-winged angel to an 8-winged angel. Her level directly soared to the peak of the saint rank. She is just one step away from being a demigod. And Gladys's current strength is already comparable to that of an early-stage demigod. Although she is not as abnormal as an MI, she is still very powerful. At this moment, she is leading several reorganized fallen angel legions to attack a mountain giant city that is not weak in strength. Under the leadership of the 8-winged fallen angel, Gladys. Those fallen angel legions are like gods killing gods and people killing people. They are like entering an uninhabited land. In no time, they captured that mountain giant city. Lady Angelia, a phantom figure suddenly appeared and respectfully said, "With my power, I can easily kill those 2 demigod-level mountain giants without the need for Lady to take action." And Secretary glanced at the phantom figure. "If you kill them, how can I improve my realm? Now is not the time to plunder the origin of this floating island world." I apologize, Lady. 12-winged throne angel, Vivian, thought about it and realized that an secretary was right, so she quickly lowered her head and retreated. Her figure disappeared and returned to the statue in the center of the City of Angels. At the same time, Angelia's figure also disappeared into thin air. When she reappeared, she was already in the sealed independent space. At this moment, King Von and the Great Prophet, two demigod-level mountain giants, were frantically releasing the power of the laws, trying to break through the barrier of the independent space and escape. The situation outside made them extremely anxious and shocked. A ratio of 4 to 1. The number of saint-rank mountain giants is also twice that of saint-rank angels. And they can't win. It's simply a joke. Just at this moment, a beautiful figure appeared in the independent space. This immediately made King Von and the Great Prophet alert. For them, this 10-winged angel is not easy to provoke and is incredibly powerful. 40%. Chapter 233. Is it so difficult to die these days? Your Majesty, be careful. This is an angel who controls the laws of space. The Great Prophet held a bone-made scepter and stood one step ahead of King Von. Her rank was higher than King Von's, reaching the demigod late stage. She should be the one standing in front. In the presence of this extraordinarily beautiful 10-winged angel, she also sensed a great crisis and even felt a sense of panic for no reason. And this feeling, only the world's peak powerhouses, the Beast Emperor, the Dragon Emperor, and the Elf Queen, have given her such a feeling before. Peak demigod, someone who has ignited the divine fire but has not yet condensed the divine nature. Their strength is many times stronger than that of a late-stage demigod. But this 10-winged angel in front of her, clearly only in the early stage of demigod, gave her a feeling of facing a peak demigod, making her both shocked and incredulous. Fortunately, it's not the legendary 12-winged angel. Otherwise, we would have no chance of winning. Many powerful races know that the rank of an angel represents their strength. At the same level, the strength of a 12-winged angel far surpasses that of a 10-winged angel. Even in the myriad worlds battlefield, the appearance of a 12-winged angel is enough to shake a vast region and make countless races and deities wary. Generally speaking, 12-winged angels always appear as the commanders of an angel army. 6-winged angels, 8-winged angels, and 10-winged angels are all legion commanders under the 12-winged angel. The title of Commander of the Army is not on the same level as Legion Commander. According to ancient records, the 12-winged angels that appeared in the myriad worlds battlefield back then were not ordinary true gods. Each one of them was a supreme god who wielded great divine power. Supreme gods, the masters of the divine realm. Countless true gods under their command. Much stronger than lower gods, middle gods, and upper gods. This is the 12-winged angel of the angel race. The renowned top-tier angels. King Von took a deep breath and looked at Angelia, who stood elegantly in the distance, and said, I am Von, the ruler of the giant kingdom. I hope we can resolve this dispute peacefully. Compared to the Great Prophet, he felt a greater threat from this 10-winged angel. The terrifying aura emanating from her made him involuntarily want to look up. This made him have little confidence in the upcoming battle. Secretary N, with an indifferent expression, said, Our Lord is merciful and benevolent, redeeming the myriad worlds with the holy light. I give you two choices. Embrace the holy light, believe in our Lord, and obtain eternal life, or I will directly purify your body and soul. Upon hearing this, King Von's face changed. But soon returned to normal. Receiving such a response, he didn't seem to find it strange. Angels are just like this. King Von said in a deep voice, My giant kingdom will never blaspheme the faith in the Titan true God. What Titan true God? Just a later generation of Thunder Titans. Angelia walked slowly. With each step she took, a dazzling halo would ripple around her. Each halo represented a kind of rule power she mastered. Space, sacredness, light, annihilation, judgment, sanction, divine punishment. One after another, rule halos emerged, making the already sacred and noble Angelia appear even more dignified, like the supreme god walking in the world. Seeing this scene, King Von and the Great Prophet were so shocked that their eyeballs almost fell out. Let's not talk about King Von. The Great Prophet had lived for over 2,000 years, experienced 3 generations of kings in the Giant Kingdom, and had seen almost all the demigod powerhouses in this world, including the Dragon Emperor and the Elf Queen. It can be said that she had seen every demigod in this world, except for the Medusa Queen who ruled the deep sea. However, she had never seen a demigod who could control such a large number of rules. At most, it was only 4 or 5. Firstly, there were talent limitations. The more rules one comprehended, the difficulty would increase exponentially. Secondly, the number of rules was related to the success probability of igniting the divine fire and condensing the divine nature. The more rules one mastered, the more difficult it would be to become a god. Who would dare to joke about their path to godhood? However, the 10-winged angel in front of her displayed so many rule halos that she had a feeling of countless, with hundreds of different attributes of rules. How terrifying was this talent? And how astonishing was this courage? Under these circumstances, becoming a god was basically impossible. There was even a high probability that she would be burned to ashes by the divine fire during the process of igniting it. Because there were too many rules. Correspondingly, the power of the divine fire would be more terrifying. She's doomed, the great prophet muttered to herself. This was not a curse, but based on her understanding of the path to godhood, she firmly believed that the beautiful 10-winged angel in front of her could not pass the test of igniting the divine fire. Of course, this was of no help to her in King Von's current predicament. On the contrary, facing a terrifying angel who possessed at least hundreds of rule powers. The ones who were doomed were her and King Von. Just now, she thought that the strength of this angel might be comparable to that of a peak demigod. Now it seemed that she had seriously underestimated it. What kind of peak demigod could be so abnormal? Not even a true god could. Setting aside divine power, even if the true god were to descend, they would still be crushed by her. Your Majesty, the enemy is too strong, you should retreat. As long as your Majesty is alive, our giant clan will have hope for the future. I will stop this angel. The great prophet wasted no time and quickly transmitted a message to King Von. You cannot escape. Before King Von could respond, Angelia spoke. She intercepted the great prophet's spiritual thoughts. In this independent space created by her, she seemed to be omnipotent. Secretary and glanced at the great prophet and said, "You are on the verge of death, with average talent. The hope of becoming a god is slim. Your value lies in dying by my hands and helping me ascend to the mid-stage of demigod. As for your king, I can spare his life. The followers of the Titans never fear death." King Von was quite tough. Without waiting for the great prophet to persuade him again, he swung the two giant hammers in his hands and summoned terrifying purple thunderbolts to strike Angelia. The power was so strong that even a 1,000-meter mountain would be easily shattered. Annihilation. Angelia flicked her finger. A terrifying force of law swept through. In an instant, the thunderbolts in the sky dissipated, and even the two giant hammers in King Von's hands exploded directly. King Von immediately spewed out blood, severely injured. Your Majesty, the great prophet exclaimed in shock. She raised the bone staff in her hand and summoned violent storm tornadoes imbued with endless thunderbolts to engulf Angelia. Wherever they passed, the space twisted. If this were the outside world, the space would definitely be torn apart. But this was Secretary Anne's independent space, with hundreds of laws suppressing it, making it almost indestructible. So even if the great prophet risked her life, she could only cause a slight distortion in the space. Only Secretary Anne pulled out a flaming angel sword from the void. With a gentle slash forward. Instantly, all the storm and thunderbolts were cut into nothingness. Whether it was King Von or the great prophet, their full attacks were like child's play in front of Secretary Anne, easily dispelled with a snap of her fingers. Judgment. Secretary Anne pointed the divine sword in her hand. Instantly, a radiant holy sword descended from the sky, directly piercing the great prophet. The great prophet immediately tried to escape but found that the space around her was imprisoned. She showed a look of despair for a moment. Just at that moment, King Von's massive figure unexpectedly turned into a lightning bolt and unhesitatingly stood in front of the great prophet. Poochie. King Von was directly pierced by the holy sword, blood splattering. Seeing this scene, Angelia was also stunned. She didn't expect that the giant clan's king would be willing to sacrifice himself for others. This exceeded her expectations. Your Majesty, the great prophet cried out in grief. Her body was imprisoned, and she could only watch as the golden flames engulfed King Von's body. This was the legendary angel Holy Flame. It could incinerate everything in the world. It could purify all evil and darkness. If nothing unexpected happened, King Von would be burned to ashes by the angel Holy Flame. But at this moment, the holy flame on King Von's body extinguished, and another radiant holy light enveloped him, dissipating the pained expression on his face. A divine spell directly pulled King Von back from the gates of the underworld. Angelia glanced at him sideways. Did you ask me if you wanted to die? Behave and prepare to become a follower of my lord. King Von remained silent. Is it so difficult to die these days? Secretary Anne no longer paid attention to him. She didn't even look at the stunned great prophet. Instead, she turned her gaze to the forbidden land of the giant kingdom, where a towering titan statue stood hundreds of meters tall. At some point, that titan statue had been enveloped in divine light. and purple thunderbolts kept bursting out. This caused countless giant clan members in the city to cheer, thinking that it was a miracle from the true god of the Titans. And indeed, it was. After a moment, the towering statue unexpectedly moved. Like a giant stone figure, it forcibly tore through the mountain behind it, which was the Forbidden Land. It stood up, facing the city of angels floating in the sky. Its head had been blasted off, but everyone could feel that it was gazing at the city of angels, or rather, staring at Secretary and in the independent space. At the same time, thunderous voices resounded from within the Titan statue. As if an immortal deity was whispering, exuding a majestic divine power. Under the crown of Angelia, I have heard of your legend. That was already millions of years ago. 40%. Chapter 234 Your Majesty, save me. Bang, bang, bang. The earth trembles, and the capital city shakes. It is the towering Titan statue, hundreds of meters tall, walking. Each step can shake the earth, like an ancient giant, full of oppression. With one step, it directly crushes the majestic central temple, yet it pays no attention, always facing the direction of the independent space, gazing at the elegant and beautiful and Secretary. Inside the city, countless mountainous giants are cheering. Fanatic believer is glad that he did not commit suicide. Because a miracle has come. After countless ages, a miracle has finally descended upon the giant kingdom. This shows that the great Titan true God has not abandoned them, but has always been watching. Now, as the giant kingdom is in disaster, the Titan true God has timely descended, clearly to save them. For a moment, the morale of the mountainous giant army soars. Their fighting spirit becomes even more intense. In the battlefield high above, thousands of high-ranking members and powerful individuals of the giant kingdom, upon discovering the descent of the Titan true God, temporarily increase their combat power and withstand the attacks from the high-ranking archangels. Titans above all, glory forever. Countless mountainous giants are fervently shouting, their voices tearing through the clouds in the sky. Now, they no longer have fear. All they have is excitement and anticipation. Because they believe they have been saved. The great Titan true God will surely be able to defeat the evil angel army, and even destroy the terrifying city of angels, saving them from danger. In the independent space, the great prophet and the resurrected King Von are also filled with excitement. They can hardly believe that the Titan true God has truly descended. For their mountainous giant clan, this is simply a miracle, a ray of light in the dark abyss. Although it is not the true body of the Titan true God that has descended, only a divine consciousness incarnation. But I believe there should be no problem defeating a demigod level 10 winged angel. This is the thought of the great prophet and King Von. However, there is one thing that puzzles and confuses them greatly. The Titan true God they believe in actually refers to the 10-winged angel as under the crown, and even claims to have heard of the legends she created tens of millions of years ago. This is a big problem. First of all, how can a demigod-level angel live for tens of millions of years? Isn't that the realm of immortality for true gods? Furthermore, if one has lived for tens of millions of years, how can they still be just a demigod? Even the most foolish pigeon people can become gods after living for so long. Secondly, the Titan true God who has descended refers to the 10-winged angel as under the crown, which is the most incredible part. Because only the highest gods can be bestowed with the title of under the crown. For example, the light goddess under the faith of the Holy See, the nature and elf goddess under the creation of the nature elf clan, and the fate goddess low grade who is said to control the river of destiny. In addition, the ruler of the Thunder Titan clan they believe in is also an under the crown. Could it be the elegant and beautiful 10-winged angel before their eyes as a supreme deity? How is that possible? After all, if it were a supreme deity, a single glance could kill the two of them, or even destroy this world with a snap of the fingers. Just at this moment, Angelia suddenly speaks, her voice indifferent. Who are you? Her golden eyes fall upon the Titan statue. It's like searching for familiar traces. The Titan statue thundered, I am just a small intermediate god under the command of Divine King, not worth remembering by the famous Angelia. Intermediate god, that's indeed an insignificant existence. Angelia indifferently said, I pierced through time and arrived in this world, giving you all the opportunity to display miracles. The Titan statue said, thank you, Your Majesty, for allowing me to protect the believers of this world. I hope Your Majesty can spare these humble mountain giants. I can assure Your Majesty. They will not be an obstacle for the Angel Legion to conquer this world. Angelia glanced at it and said, "Insignificant existence, where does the face come from?" Hearing this, the Titan statue fell silent. The Titans, who controlled the primal force of thunder, were known for their irritable and hot-tempered nature. If they couldn't reason, they would fight. If they couldn't win an argument, they would start a war. That was the style of the Titans. However, it didn't mean that the Titans were without brains. The Titan statue said in a deep voice, "Your Majesty Angelia, after millions of years of development, the myriad world's battlefield is no longer the same as when it was oppressed by the angel race. With the help of countless floating islands, the gods of various races have emerged one after another. Compared to millions of years ago, our strength has become stronger. Even if there is another holy demon war, the power of our major races alone is enough to win. The reappearance of the angel race in the world is a good thing. But they should also abide by the new order, otherwise there will be great calamity." Secretary and narrowed her eyes and said, "Are you threatening me?" The Titan statue replied, "Of course not, I just want to inform your Majesty that the order of the myriad worlds battlefield has been re-established. The major divine domains are developing harmoniously. There were supreme gods who wanted to destroy the peace and stability of the myriad worlds battlefield, but their whereabouts are still unknown." Upon hearing this, a faint smile appeared on Angelia's beautiful and cold face. "Very beautiful, but also very cold." The Titan statue immediately said, "Your Majesty, please don't be angry. I am just stating a fact." Angelia's voice was cold as she said, "Is this what you said, or what Clovis said?" The Titan statue said, "Clovis, your Majesty doesn't know that the angel race has descended into this world. I plan to report it to Clovis, your Majesty, later." Angelia said, "That's a pity." As she spoke, a huge 18-winged angel shadow appeared behind her. Seeing the dazzling holy angel shadow, the Titan statue's body trembled. After a moment, it said, "Why bother, your Majesty? My divine body is located in the Titan divine domain. Even if you cut off this divine thought of mine, it won't cause much damage to me. I'll say it again, please give me face, your Majesty. Take your angel legion and withdraw from the area of the giant kingdom." "What level are you at that I should give you face?" Secretary and shouted coldly and directly swung the angel divine sword in her hand towards the Titan statue. Behind her, the dazzling 18-winged angel shadow merged into the divine sword and turned into a brilliant swordlight that instantly struck the towering Titan statue. Immediately, a scream came from the Titan statue. Then, the owner of the voice seemed to have discovered something and screamed in horror, "The sword of fate that can destroy everything. How is this possible?" With a bang, the Titan statue crumbled. At the same time, in the distant and different time and space of the Titan divine domain, a Titan main god with a height of 10,000 meters and a majestic aura shouted in despair, "Your Majesty, save me." But before he finished speaking, a mouthful of golden blood sprayed out of his mouth. Then, he groaned and fell to the ground. A pair of golden eyes filled with despair stared wide open, as if unwilling to close even in death. If given the chance, he really wanted to say, "Legends are really damn unreliable." 140%. Chapter 235. A wage earner, a lot of work and number commission. The world fell into silence. Inside and outside the city, all the towering giants of the mountain stared in astonishment at the crumbling statue of the Titan god. The mighty Titan, the true god, was actually slain by a single sword. Although what was destroyed was only a divine thought, it was still the divine thought of the Titan true god. In the hearts of the towering giants, the Titan true god was supreme and invincible. Even if only a divine thought descended into this world, it would be unparalleled and able to suppress all opponents. But this is the result. For a moment, the faith in the hearts of the towering giants collapsed once again. Even more desperate than before. In the high-altitude battlefield, the camp of the strong in the giant kingdom instantly crumbled. The thousands of high-ranking and powerful individuals were scattered and fled by the high-ranking angels, and the courageous towering giants were all defeated under the swords of the angelic gods. Many high-ranking and powerful individuals finally couldn't resist the angels' faith magic at this moment. They abandoned the darkness and turned to the Lord of Holy Light, becoming his followers. At the same time, they followed the footsteps of the high-ranking angels and suppressed the high-ranking individuals and powerful individuals of other kingdoms. On the other side, the angelic army gathered in the city of angels also mobilized. The 150,000 holy angels turned into a mighty force and flew out of the city of angels, heading straight for the giant capital below. Now is the most vulnerable time for the faith and will of the towering giants. Starting a war is enough to deliver a fatal blow to this capital. In addition, spreading the faith of the Lord of Holy Light at this time is also the most appropriate opportunity to easily convert a large number of towering giant believers. War broke out and quickly engulfed every corner of the capital. Intense battle scenes could be seen everywhere, because there were still many towering giants resisting stubbornly. But now, they were not fighting for the glory of the Titans, but for the giant kingdom, for their own race. As the battle continued, these stubbornly resisting towering giants suddenly discovered something very strange. That is, the enemy kept increasing as they fought. At first, their opponents were angels. Not long after, towering giants joined the battle. However, the towering giants who joined the battle were not helping them resist the angels' attacks, but helping the angels suppress them. After a while, their enemies were only towering giants. What's going on? It was also under such circumstances that more and more towering giants couldn't hold on. Either they fell on the battlefield, or they knelt under the shroud of faith magic. In the high altitude, in an independent space, Angelia swung her sword and killed the imprisoned great prophet. Almost at the same time, the aura emanating from her body surged several times again. Her level increased. From the early stage of demigod, she advanced to the mid-stage of demigod. Great prophet, not far away, King Von cried out in grief. Although the great prophet always addressed him as, Your Majesty, in his heart, the great prophet was both his elder and his teacher. Without the constant companionship and guidance of the great prophet, he would not be where he is today. Watching the great prophet's body quickly turn to ashes under the engulfing flames of the angelic holy fire, King Von could no longer restrain himself. He took out a spare giant sword from his spatial equipment and charged towards Angelia to kill her. Then, he was imprisoned. Holy radiance emerged from the void, enveloping King Von. Soon, the expression on King Von's face twisted. He was trying to resist the erosion of his soul by the divine magic of faith with his strong will. Although witnessing the destruction of the divine consciousness of the Titan true God had dealt him a huge blow, his will remained firm. He would never betray the thunder and embrace the holy light. For the kingdom, for the tribe. King Von roared in a ferocious manner. 2 seconds later, he kneeled, praising the Lord of Holy Light devoutly. Angelia waved her right hand, and the independent space collapsed. Then, with a calm expression, she said, Go help the angelic legion subdue the mountain giants in the city and redeem their faith. Yes, Your Holiness. King Von respectfully withdrew and headed straight for the distant aerial battlefield. As for Angelia, she put away her angelic divine sword and closed her beautiful golden eyes, establishing a connection with a certain entity in the depths of the universe. Angelia, you told me before that your holy angelic clan abides by the rules, but now it seems that you are even more outrageous than Astia. A voice from the depths of the universe resounded in Angelia's mind. Cold, rigid, yet filled with anger. Clearly very angry. Angelia responded, You can't blame me for this. It was your own negligence that allowed the divine consciousness of that nameless main god to descend into this world. The foreign race that violates the rules must die. I am repairing the space-time and interdimensional teleportation array, so I didn't pay attention. Damn it, you shattered the space-time and interdimensional teleportation array. I'm just cleaning up your mess. Enough, stop complaining. Our angelic clan will leave this world as soon as possible. Angelia said, The myriad worlds battlefield is the target of our Lord. As a law spirit of a broken world, our Lord doesn't even care about you. Just focus on your own tasks, and there will be benefits for you in the future. But you're cheating. The voice from the depths of the universe was very angry, but deliberately lowered its voice and said, If the boss finds out, I'm done for. Don't forget, the boss is the one controlling everything. I'm just a worker without overtime pay. Quote. Angelia said, When I follow our Lord into the myriad worlds battlefield and restore my peak divine power, I will forge a divine body for you to help you leave this world and gain freedom. Really, trust me, I never make promises lightly. Then I'll trust you one last time. I'll pretend I didn't see what happened just now. Also, don't play tricks on me anymore. I'm just a worker, with a heavy workload and no commission. If I get fired, I won't be able to support my family. Where did you learn all these words? From those professionals. I often eavesdrop on them. Quote. Angelia fell silent, then asked, Why did that nameless Titan main god appear in this world? Didn't he say it himself? He came to protect the mountain giant kingdom. Those mountain giants are true believers of their Titan clan. Tell me something that will make me believe. Our boss has hidden something very important in the floating island world, which is said to be related to the holy demon war of the past. but I don't know which floating island world it is hidden in. What is it? I don't know either. You know, our boss's power is comparable to your Lord of Holy Light. What it wants to do, we workers have no idea. Comparable to our Lord. Who gave you the confidence? Quote question mark question mark question mark quote. 2. 40%. Chapter 236 Faith and Law. It's noon. Over here in Paradise Town. Lin Yu leads by example and personally teaches Radiant Saintess Tiffany the path of a kitchen maid. During this time, he doesn't forget to take a look at the elf light sphere formed by the dark elf mother tree, emitting divine and luminous magical fluctuations. More than 3 hours have passed, and the light sphere remains unchanged. This is the first time such a situation has occurred. If nothing unexpected happens, the elf born this time must be very special, most likely an ancient great elf who possesses sacred and luminous powers. Lunch is ready, and Lin Yu calls Tiffany to eat together. Little Lolita Si Tang also needs to eat. However, her lunch is different from that of normal people. I saw little Lolita go to the northwest area of the town and transform into a giant black bone blood vine towering hundreds of meters, directly devouring the blood, bones, and organs of the monsters decomposed by the local believers. These things are her food. They can promote her strength improvement. When she has nothing to do, she also goes to the spirit field to practice, trying to use the special substances in the spirit field space to once again achieve bloodline evolution and breakthrough. If she is lucky enough to evolve again, little Lolita Si Tang will have the growth potential of a true god. Right now, she is in the early stage of demigod, and at most, she can reach the peak of demigod. Only by achieving bloodline evolution again can her future become brighter. But I think Everlasting Flower will probably be furious. The taste is not bad. Lin Yu takes a bite of the dish and a bite of spirit rice. He slightly appreciates Radiant Saintess Tiffany's cooking skills. The taste of Tiffany's dishes naturally cannot compare to that of Six-Winged Seeker Angel Elena, but considering it's her first time, being able to cook something decent is already very good. The requirements don't need to be too high. Radiant Saintess sits upright on the side, eating in small bites. Her temperament is very gentle. Upon hearing Lin Yu's words, she immediately relaxes and becomes extremely excited, expressing her determination to continue working hard. At this moment, Lin Yu suddenly thinks of something. Using his mind to communicate with the town's warehouse, he takes out a bottle several centimeters tall. He also brings 2 small bowls. He pours the white liquid from the bottle into the bowls. Try this. This is. Radiant Saintess Tiffany senses the pure life force emanating from the liquid in the bowl and exclaims in surprise, the water of life from the natural elf clan. That's right. Lin Yu nods and says with a smile, this was presented by Woodlow and Agudaki, from the Mountain Giant Kingdom, representing the friendship between the Elf Garden and the Giant Kingdom. Tiffany respectfully takes the small bowl handed to her by Lin Yu. She carefully places it in front of herself and says, it is rumored that the water of life is a sacred healing item. Even if one's limbs are severed, they can be regrown with the help of the water of life. Unfortunately, the relationship between our Radiant Church and the Natural Elf clan is not very good. Those elves are worried that we will spread our faith in their territory, so they never interact with us, and the water of life rarely appears in the bountiful Great Lands. It's okay, there will be more of these things in the future. Lin Yu lifts the small bowl and drinks all the water of life inside. It doesn't have any particular taste. It's just like drinking pure milk. The contained life energy within it is indeed extremely vast. Lin Yu could feel energy erupting within his body. Although it didn't push his level from Saint rank mid-stage to Saint rank late stage, there was still some improvement. If he continues to drink it like this for a long time, promoting to the peak of Saint rank is only a matter of time. If we were to sell this water of life on Blue Star, I believe we could sell it for a sky-high price. Regenerating severed limbs, healing all ailments, and even extending the lifespan of mortals. This is the coveted treasure that countless humans dream of. However, Lin Yu has no intention of doing such a thing. Money on Blue Star is already meaningless to him now. He plans to treat the water of life as his daily beverage, taking a few sips from time to time. Perhaps one day, his level will skyrocket. Shortly after the full-scale war between the Angel Army and the Mountain Giant Kingdom began, his level broke through and promoted to the mid-stage of Saint rank. His current goal is to reach the peak of Saint rank. Then, comprehend the power of the laws and strive for demigod. Of course, it's not just the laws. The power of faith must also be mastered. As the Lord of Holy Light, the deity of the angel race, becoming the god of faith is his greatest advantage, allowing him to possess immense divine power in a short period of time. What Lin Yu is thinking now is faith and laws, both at the same time. This way, his divine power will not fall short. In fact, within the entire angel camp, he is the only one who is a faith deity. The other angels, including his secretary An, also possess the power of the laws. Once they become gods in the future, she will also be a deity of the laws, not the god of faith. Because the faith power of the angel camp is concentrated in the Lord of Holy Light. This is also one of the reasons why the divine power of the Lord of Holy Light is incredibly strong. While eating, Lin Yu pondered, to comprehend the power of the laws, I can only rely on myself. The world rules of Floating Island will no longer provide direct assistance like when I promoted to Saint rank. When I promoted to Saint rank, I mastered 3 types of power. Holy, light, and the power of creation. The power of creation is a kind of power that even the world rules of Floating Island don't know about. It is displayed as unknown on his information panel. The reason Lin Yu knows about it is that he asked Angelia. He obtained the answer from his secretary. At the same time, he also learned how incredible the power of creation is. The Lord of Holy Light is the God of faith, but it doesn't mean that the Lord of Holy Light cannot use the power of the laws. On the contrary, the Lord of Holy Light can use the power of all laws. And these powers of the laws are created by burning the power of faith with the power of creation as the catalyst. Therefore, the Lord of Holy Light is omnipotent and omniscient. Next, I will focus on the power of creation, with holy and light as the foundation, comprehend and control my own power of the laws. Once successful, even without consuming the power of faith, I can still use the laws. Lin Yu also hopes to feel strong. He can't rely on the angels for everything. One day, he will manifest his divinity and suppress all races. Yes, let's start with this world. After lunch, Lin Yu took another look at the light sphere, but there was still no movement. He decided to ignore it. He returned to the second-floor bedroom of the Hall of the Overlord to take a nap. Throughout the process, Radiant Saintess Tiffany accompanied him. It was also at this time that Lin Yu truly understood the meaning of Saintess, and experienced a different kind of feeling. 41%. Chapter 237 Elemental Elf Lilith. Lin Yu had originally planned to take a nap. But in the end, he didn't manage to sleep. After accompanying Radiant Saintess Tiffany for more than 2 hours, he was suddenly alarmed by the anomaly outside the Hall of the Overlord. A brilliant light shone through the window, illuminating the messy bedroom. Even though it was daytime with the sun shining brightly, the light was still dazzling and captivating. You should rest for a while. After finishing, Lin Yu got up and walked out of the bedroom. Leaving Tiffany, who was covered in sweat, curled up in the blanket, her bright eyes like water. He arrived outside. The floating elf light ball that was originally suspended in midair had disappeared. Underneath the dark elf mother tree, stood a beautiful figure wearing a white dress. She had the appearance of an elf. Tall and slender figure, as well as long silver hair. The aura emanating from her was different from any other dark elf, it was of the holy and light attributes. It was hard to imagine that she was an elf born from the dark elf mother tree. If it were the mother tree of the nature elf clan, it would still be somewhat possible. She's not an ancient great elf. Lin Yu was somewhat surprised. Ancient great elves have wings on their backs, resembling butterfly wings, as can be seen from the wings behind Doris. But this figure did not have wings behind her. Just at this moment, this figure walked quickly towards Lin Yu and knelt down excitedly and reverently as soon as she approached. Praise you, great Lord of Holy Light, the Holy Light Elemental Elf greets you. As she spoke, a virtual information panel appeared in Lin Yu's field of vision. Elemental Elf. Attribute. Holy Light, Holy and Light. Initial level. Saint rank peak. Growth potential. Mid-level true God. Introduction. This is an elemental elf that has integrated the powers of Holy and Light, and even among the elemental elf clan, it is at its peak. Looking at the information panel of this Holy Light elemental elf in front of him, Lin Yu suddenly felt a sense of surprise. Doris, who awakened the bloodline of the ancient great elf, had a growth potential limit of only a lower level true god. But this Holy Light elemental elf had a growth potential limit that reached the level of a mid-level god. This made him feel like he had received an unexpected surprise. Get up. Lin Yu raised his hand slightly and said to the Holy Light elemental elf in front of him, from now on, your name is Lilith. The Holy Light elemental elf, Lilith exclaimed excitedly, "Thank you, Lord of Holy Light, for giving me a name." Lin Yu nodded slightly. Then he looked at the platinum dress worn by the Holy Light elemental elf. Seemingly sensing the Lord of Holy Light's doubt, Lilith quickly said, "My lord, this dress was condensed using the power of Holy and Light. I don't like tree skirts. Tree skirts are the initial equipment of the Dark Elves. Apart from being sexy, they have no attack or defense capabilities. So far, the Dark Elf Mother Tree has already given birth to thousands of Dark Elves, but Lin Yu hasn't sent any of them out to hunt monsters mainly because there is no suitable equipment for them. Will this kind of dress disappear after a few strikes?" Well, the elemental elf of Holy Light pondered for a moment. Then she nodded and said, "To my lord, there is a possibility, for example, like this." As soon as she finished speaking, her platinum-colored gown disintegrated into pure divine and luminous magic, disappearing from sight. What appeared was a perfectly pure white body. Lin Yu was instantly confused. The corner of his eye caught a glimpse of the elven forest with its silver frost pendant. He took out a set of transcendent-grade equipment from the town's warehouse and handed it to the Holy Light elemental elf, who showed no hesitation in front of him, saying, "Put it on and completely solve this problem." "Praise the Lord, thank you for your gift." The Holy Light elemental elf, Lilith, was very happy. In front of Lin Yu, she put on the transcendent set. Lin Yu said, "This equipment set's grade is too low and cannot match your saint rank peak power. When you have better equipment in the future, you can change it yourself. The equipment problem for ordinary troops needs to be solved by the Overlord. Unlike his angels, who have their own growing angelic sets that can improve as the angel's level increases." "Thank you, my lord." Lilith respectfully saluted. Lin Yu then said, "Tell me about the special abilities of all elemental elves." Lilith said, "To my lord, elemental elves are controllers of elements, possessing perfect elemental compatibility and affinity, as elemental elves themselves are condensed from elemental power. Even without becoming gods, elemental elves can live forever. Even if their physical bodies are slain, elemental elves can resurrect using the elemental laws of the world. Elemental elves' attacks can be greatly enhanced by the elements of the world, and they can freely use elemental magic at the level of forbidden curses. In terms of comprehending the laws, we have an absolute advantage compared to other races. Becoming a god is very simple for elemental elves. In summary, elemental elves are celestial pets. This is something other intelligent races envy. However, at the same time, the drawback of elemental elves is also obvious, which is their extremely small number. Compared to the elemental elf race, the low fertility dragon race can be considered highly productive. At this moment, Lin Yu had a deeper understanding of elemental elves. "Lilith, you are only one step away from advancing to demigod and mastering the laws. You should also work harder. Go, follow the guidance of your faith and head to the battlefield of the giant kingdom." "Yes, my great lord of Holy Light." As soon as she finished speaking, the Holy Light elemental elf, Lilith, turned into an aurora and disappeared into the distant sky in an instant. Her speed was so fast, just like a beam of light. Not long after the departure of the Holy Light elemental elf, Lilith, Lin Yu suddenly received a message prompt from the Myriad Worlds floating island. "Congratulations, Lin Yu Overlord. Your angel legion has captured the giant kingdom. Please choose whether to destroy or occupy. Special reminder. If you destroy the giant kingdom, your territory will become the mortal enemy of the giant race. Other local forces in the Dark Forest will also see your territory as a target that must be eliminated." Captured. Lin Yu felt delighted. Without hesitation, he immediately chose destroy. Soon, another message prompt from the Myriad Worlds floating island appeared. "Congratulations, Lin Yu Overlord. You have successfully defeated the local transcendent level force, the Giant Kingdom. You have obtained 159 blueprints of the magic cannon, 3 blueprints for upgrading territory buildings, 1 blueprint for upgrading city walls, 1 blueprint for the construction of a faith idol, and 40 blueprints for watchtowers. You have obtained a rainbow crystal level stronghold treasure chest. Your name will resound throughout the floating island, and both professionals and local races will remember your name." 41%. Chapter 238 Famous in the World. Otherwise, shall we surrender? Almost at the same time, the rulers of all the local forces in this world received a reminder from Myriad Worlds floating island. For the local forces, the world rules of Myriad Worlds floating island are the supreme gods. Naturally, they dare not be careless when it comes to reminders from the supreme gods. Therefore, Whether it is the Beast Emperor of the Beast Clan Court, the Dragon Emperor of the Dragon's Nest, or the Elf Queen of the Nature Elves, they all know that there is a rapidly developing foreign territory in the Dark Forest. The strength of this foreign territory has become so powerful that it has destroyed the mountain giant kingdom. At the same time, Lin Yu's name is also remembered by them. To put it simply, Lin Yu is already famous in this world. All the local forces in the 8 major regions. They all know him and know his territory, Paradise Town. Many local forces immediately held emergency meetings to discuss how to deal with the threat from Paradise Town. In addition, relevant world announcements also appeared in the island's chat channel. Looking at the rows of top golden characters, all the professionals were shocked and expressed disbelief. Is this true? Why does it feel like a dream? Isn't the Mountain Giant Kingdom a local transcendent level force in the Dark Forest? It is said to have a demigod presiding over it, and there are also a large number of saint rank and transcendent rank powerhouses. Such a powerful local force was actually captured by Lin Yu's army. This is too incredible. Damn, how strong is Lin Yu's Angel Legion? They defeated a kingdom-level force. The next step is to truly dominate the Dark Forest, right? This is obvious. Previously, Lin Yu claimed that he would conquer the Dark Forest and establish a kingdom within 20 days. I didn't believe it at first, thought Lin Yu was bragging, but now I have to believe it. You're not the only one who got slapped in the face. Indeed, I didn't believe it at all back then. Lin Yu is too strong. Those veteran overlord professionals from a year ago still haven't conquered a kingdom-level force, but Lin Yu did it in less than half a month. The difference is too big. Have you even looked at what kind of troops Lin Yu has? And those veteran overlords, there are only a little over 100 of them, including those who have already died. Moreover, their troops are at most high-level troops, so their development speed naturally cannot be fast. Indeed, the first to go may not necessarily go the farthest. With Lin Yu's current strength, even if he returns to Blue Star, he is already invincible. Isn't that obvious? The highest-ranked professionals revealed on Blue Star are only at the saint rank. Lin Yu has already captured a transcendent level force with a demigod presiding over it. He must be invincible. I wonder what level Lin Yu is now. He most likely has already advanced to the saint rank. Envious. I'm only level 6 now, not even a high-level professional. I'm only level 5. Compared to the lively chat channel on the island, the Great Alliance channel, which gathers a large number of alliance leaders and apex-level overlords, is silent. They established the Great Alliance channel largely to deal with Lin Yu, who has the angel troops. But now they suddenly realize that they can't even see Lin Yu's back. In simpler terms, they have been left far behind. Brothers, the time has come that concerns our life and death. We must unite to resist Lin Yu. Don't talk nonsense. Only us overlord professionals can unite. After all, with Lin Yu here, we have no chance of becoming the island lord. As for the alliance leaders, can they unite? Don't be fooled by the fact that they have tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of alliance members. They are useless at all. At this stage, besides crowdfunding and borrowing 10,000 gold coins, what use do those alliance members have? Even exchanging resources for a high price is restricted by the floating island. There's nothing we can do about it. If we have to blame someone, blame Lin Yu for developing too fast. According to normal circumstances, give us a few months of development time. When professionals are promoted to king level and transcendent, we can build an alliance base and gather alliance members together. But now, no one has this ability. The majority of combat professionals are still fighting for survival. How can they gather their strength together? I have to say, Lin Yu is really abnormal. In fact, we overlord professionals are also struggling. Each of us is facing the problem of being blocked by king-level creatures at the door. This is the first test given to us by the floating island. I heard that Sikong Jun is even worse. He was blocked by a king-level skeleton mage for several days, and more than 100 Dark Phoenix troops were captured and turned into skeleton phoenixes. They still haven't found a solution. Laughing so hard, I wonder how Lin Yu passed this test back then. In the channel, the leaders of the alliances, apex-level overlords, and high-level overlords all sighed. For them, Paradise Town is no longer a relationship of pressure and motivation, but despair. To put it bluntly, all the people and forces in the channel combined cannot surpass Paradise Town now. They are all very clear about this. Lin Yu has become an unshakable mountain in front of them. At Sha Qingyu, beauty, what have you been up to these past few days? Haven't seen you around. Not in the mood. In my opinion, you should destroy your territory and leave Dark Forest with your Frost Dragon Legion. It doesn't matter if you lose your overlord status. Come to me, I'll protect you. You're thinking too much. I'm busy hunting and earning gold coins with my Dragon Legion. I don't have time to chat with you guys. What? Are you really planning to confront Lin Yu? At Sha Qingyu, Sha Ji, don't do something foolish. Paradise Town is invincible now. Agreed. Why confront him? I have already submitted a surrender intention to Lin Yu and he has agreed. After he establishes his kingdom, I can join as an overlord and become his subject. Quote question mark question mark question mark question mark quote. Oh my god, Shaji, don't mess around. You're an apex level overlord, how can you just surrender like that? In the face of Lin Yu's angel army and city of angels, what use is an apex level overlord? I don't want to die, nor do I want to lose my overlord status, so surrendering is the only option. All the alliance leaders and apex level overlords fell silent. Sha Qingyu's surrender struck them hard, but they couldn't say anything to blame her. Perhaps if they were in her shoes, they would make the same choice. After all, the identity of an apex level overlord is very important. It relates to the path to godhood and the limits of growth. After joining Lin Yu's kingdom, you have to hand over 70% of your daily earnings. Are you willing? Compared to losing the identity of an apex level overlord, what does that matter? Each poor person has their own way of living. As long as I can continuously summon dragons, I have the opportunity to become a powerful deity. Furthermore, with Lin Yu's protection, it will be safer to go to the Myriad Worlds battlefield. The Myriad Worlds battlefield is full of true gods, much more cruel than the floating island. Looking at the messages sent by Sha Qingyu, some of the alliance leaders and apex level overlords in the channel actually found it reasonable. Also, I have discovered a problem. My energy bar has reached 99%, but it's difficult to make any further progress. After inquiring with the floating island, I found out that the interdimensional teleportation array to Blue Star has collapsed. In other words, we can't go back. Quote question mark question mark question mark question mark quote. They had never considered this problem before. The mighty floating island actually caused the interdimensional teleportation array to collapse. Isn't this a joke? Almost at the same time, the professionals in the channel all communicated with Myriad Worlds floating island, and the answers they received left them completely dumbfounded. They really can't go back. This is like catching turtles in a jar. Damn, you're the turtle, your whole family is turtles, we're trapped beasts. Should we surrender too? Ask Lin Yu if he accepts overlords from the undead camp. If he does, I can cooperate with him and convert my undead troops into Holy Light Undead. Is there such a thing as Holy Light Undead? We have to give it a try. 41%. Chapter 239. Can you give it a try? So much money. Paradise Town, Hall of the Overlord. Lin Yu is receiving rewards from Myriad Worlds floating island. The rewards for capturing Mountain Ridge Giant Kingdom are still on the battlefield, and what he received is the reward for conquering the first kingdom level local power. Glory points, 5,000. Reputation points, 20,000. And 10,000 gold coins. These are additional gains and are not included in the Stronghold treasure chest. After opening the Rainbow Crystal level Stronghold treasure chest from Giant Kingdom, he can still receive a large amount of glory points, reputation points, and gold coin rewards. It's almost there. Wait until this war is completely over. The glory points I have accumulated can be exchanged for the Origin Scepter. Origin Scepter is the divine weapon level equipment that Lin Yu has been longing for. As for the divine weapon, Curse of the Lich King, that he originally set his sights on, he has long forgotten where it went. Just at this moment, Lin Yu suddenly received a message from the Bright Village Chief. The message described the discussions in the Grand Alliance channel. Even though he had already left the channel, many Bright Camp overlords were still there. Those Bright overlords collect important information and then report it to Lin Yu through the Bright Village Chief. Many Alliance masters and Apex level overlords know that they are spies. But without evidence, they dare not kick them out casually. As for now, they dare even less. They still hope to rely on those Bright overlords and establish a connection with Lin Yu. Through the information reported by the Bright Village Chief, Lin Yu also learned that in the Grand Alliance channel, there are many Alliance masters, Apex-level overlords, and high-level overlords who want to join his camp like Sha Qingyu. Officially, it is to join, but behind it, they are relying on his strong backing. In simpler terms, they are afraid of being killed by Lin Yu's angel ambassador. These people have great ambitions and do not want to die in this small floating island world without even seeing the myriad world's battlefield. And among these people, there are even overlords from the undead camp. And they mentioned the idea of the holy light undead. The overlords of the undead camp are very clear that Lin Yu's angel is the terminator of evil and darkness, and if they don't change their army camp, they will eventually be burned to ashes by Lin Yu's angel. As for how to change, they don't know. They can only pray that Lin Yu has a way. Holy light undead, Lin Yu muttered to himself. He was somewhat surprised by the whimsical ideas of these undead overlords. But it's not impossible to try. Lin Yu wants to see if his power of creation is truly limitless. And he hopes to gain a deeper understanding of the power of creation through this kind of unconventional action. If he can comprehend the power of the laws in this matter, it would be even better. When the undead creatures attack at night, I can capture a few undead to try. Without thinking too much, Lin Yu simply replied to the bright village chief and returned to the second floor of the Hall of the Overlord to continue dealing with his matters with the Radiant Saintess. Originally, he had a feeling of unfinished business. After being stimulated by the radiant elemental elf, Lilith, he became even more restless. Fortunately, nothing happened, so he can fight another 300 rounds. As a strong saint rank mid-level expert, his energy can be said to be inexhaustible, and his regenerative ability is also very astonishing. Over 1,000 kilometers away, in the mountain ridge giant kingdom, the battle is equally intense. Looking around, the capital of the mountain giant kingdom has been turned into ruins. All the statues, buildings, and even the forbidden areas of the capital have collapsed. The destruction of the capital represents the end of the mountain giant kingdom. However, on the battlefield, there are still some mountain giants who are resisting stubbornly. They are the fanatic believers of the true God, belonging to the Titan. Even if they witness their true God being killed with their own eyes, and even with the persuasion of King Von, they still refuse to surrender. For these mountain giants, the angel legions approach as physical purification. Since they insist on joining the embrace of the Titan clan, the angels don't mind sending them on their way. Of course, such fanatic believers are ultimately a minority. The reason why the battle is still intense is mainly because there are a large number of mountain giants from other cities and tribes gathering in the capital. They have not experienced the series of heart-wrenching events before. Their will and faith remain firm. When they saw the capital turned into ruins, all these mountain giants went into a frenzy, roaring and rushing into the battlefield, fiercely fighting against the Angel Legion. However, as the battle continued, there were fewer and fewer mountain giants on the battlefield. As for the aerial warfare, it had long since ended. Under the siege of the high-ranking Angel Legion, thousands of high-ranking members of the kingdom, saint-rank powerhouses, and transcendent mountain giants died or surrendered. Not a single one escaped. With the war shackles set up by the Dominion Angels in the sky, these mountain giants couldn't escape even if they wanted to. The entire army was wiped out in one battle. According to incomplete statistics, more than 2,000 powerful mountain giants surrendered after the war, and all became followers of Lin Yu. Among them, there were more than 60 saint-rank powerhouses. In addition to the surrendered mountain giants from the capital, Lin Yu made a fortune just by converting them into his followers this time. After all, mountain giants are considered apex-level creatures. How much gold would it be to convert hundreds of thousands of apex-level creatures at once? At an unknown time, in the southeast direction of the capital ruins, the earth suddenly shook, ancient trees snapped. A massive number of figures rushed towards the battlefield from that direction. When the mountain giants on the battlefield saw this scene, their morale soared, and some even cheered, feeling that they were saved. Because all those figures were their kin. There were at least 100,000 of them. However, they soon became dumbfounded. The reason was simple. Those 100,000 mountain giants didn't seem to come to assist in the battle, but rather were being chased. They were in disarray, some even dropped their weapons and didn't dare to stop and pick them up. Soon, the scenes appearing in the distance confirmed their speculation. A large number of black figures appeared on the distant horizon. Leading them were 6 winged fallen angels riding hellhounds, followed by reorganized fallen angel legions. In the jungle below, there was an even larger army of mountain giants. All these mountain giants were converted followers. And the tens of thousands of mountain giants fleeing in front were their targets. 1 fleeing, 2 pursuing. They quickly arrived at the ruins of the capital. The Holy Angel army on the battlefield, together with the fallen angel legions in the rear, and the army of mountain giant followers, directly surrounded these mountain giants who refused to surrender. 41%. Chapter 243 King's Gathering. The war continues, on a larger scale. With the addition of over 100,000 reinforcements, the number of mountain giants in the kingdom's camp has increased to nearly 250,000, doubling their overall strength. However, they are even more desperate now. Because their opponents, in addition to the Holy Angel Army, also include the Fallen Angel Legion and the mountain giant followers who have joined Paradise Town. In terms of the size of the legions, the combined forces of Paradise Town now outnumber the kingdom's mountain giant army. They are outnumbered and outmatched in strength. How could they possibly win? Furthermore, even their allegiance, King Von, has surrendered. Many high-ranking officials and powerful individuals in the kingdom have also fallen under the influence of the angelic faith. They are now like a headless dragon. Or rather, a defeated army. Their complete annihilation is only a matter of time. Near the City of Angels, the elegant figure of Secretary and stands tall in the clouds. After dealing with the Great Prophet and persuading King Von to surrender, she no longer participates in the battle. Because the remaining mountain giants are not worth her personal intervention. The City of Angels is the same. Due to its immense power, each round of bombardment inflicts significant casualties on the mountain giant army, which is not conducive to recruiting followers for the Lord of Holy Light, so they have ceased their involvement in the battle. Lady Angelia. At this moment, a massive figure emitting a strong aura of darkness, a fallen angel known as Gladys, approaches Angelia and respectfully bows. She has evolved into an 8-winged fallen angel, reaching the peak saint rank. Angelia glances at her and says calmly, "Your recovery speed is quite good." Gladys replies, "It all stems from the grace of the Supreme Creator. Under the protection of the Creator, I believe I will soon be able to reach my peak state again. Let's talk about it after we go to the Myriad World's battlefield." Angelia says, "The laws of this world are too weak to withstand the impact of great divine power. Even the condensation of a divine nature could potentially cause the collapse of the law and order." "I understand." Gladys nods. Like other angels, her goal is to ignite the divine flame in this world and reach the peak of demigod. Afterward, they will enter the Myriad World's battlefield together, condense their divine nature, and become deities. Angelia asks, "How is the Fallen Angel Legion performing?" "We are preparing to report to you." 8-winged fallen angel Gladys respectfully says, "We have captured all the mountain giant cities and tribes in the east and south, and have surrendered nearly 200,000 mountain giants. Now, the other fallen angel legions are leading the majority of mountain giant followers to attack the cities and tribes in the north and west. Barring any unexpected circumstances, we can completely end this war tonight." Angelia nods slightly and says, "After the war ends, rest well. Perhaps tomorrow, we will attack the Bone Temple in the north." "Understood." Gladys respectfully nods. Then she says, "It seems that in the area where the Bone Temple is stationed, there is a buried corpse of a death god. A Nightmare Night team has already gone to search for it." Angelia says, "It is still uncertain whether there is a death god's corpse. If there is, it would be best. Seize it, strip away its divinity, and offer it to our Lord." Gladys says, "With the help of divinity, our Lord can easily ascend to demigod." Angelia lets out a soft, "You may leave. Lead your legion to the western region. First, we need to deal with the giant kingdom city and the tribes there, and then we can take care of other local forces. Our next target is the Runkle Prairie to the west." "Understood, Lady Angelia." Gladys respectfully withdrew. Before leaving, she handed Angelia several pieces of spatial equipment. Inside were the spoils of war from the Fallen Angel Legion, including gold coins, equipment, blueprints, stronghold treasure chests, and basic resources confiscated from those cities and tribes. The spoils were so great that it took several pieces of transcendent-level spatial equipment to hold them all. Angelia collected these spatial equipment and prepared to hand them over to the Lord of Holy Light when she met him later. The reason for the delay was that the war in the capital city would not last long. At that time, the Grand Army of the Holy Angels would welcome the arrival of the Great Lord of Holy Light on the ruins of the Giant Kingdom. The eastern part of the Dark Forest. It is the territory ruled by the Elf Garden. The natural elves here are the largest branch of the natural elf clan and have a kingdom-level influence. At this moment, in a beautiful courtyard full of blooming flowers, Elf Queen Brianna, with a noble temperament resembling a goddess of wisdom, was discussing matters with two figures. One figure was seated on the throne. Its body was shrouded in a mist like necromantic power, making its face unclear, but giving off a very terrifying feeling. The other figure, holding a trident, stood in the center of a huge lake with waves rolling behind it. Faintly, one could see a long tail twisting in the waves. This was a woman with a snake-like tail. Her body was also wrapped in scales resembling purple gemstones. From her tail to her chest, it was all covered in snake scales. Above that was snow-white, jade-like skin, a charming and coquettish face, and a head of purple-red wavy hair. Her eyes were slender at the corners, with purple irises. It exuded both a sense of nobility and a hint of evil. It is said that the eyes of void demons are purple. The deeper the color, the purer the bloodline and the higher the status. And these two figures, the former was the ruler of the Bone Temple, the Lich King. The latter was the ruler of the southern region of the Dark Forest, the Naga Queen. There are rumors that Medusa and the Naga Queen look very similar. Both have a human body and a snake tail. The difference is that Medusa's hair is made up of twisted little snakes, while the Naga Queen's hair is human-like. At this moment, the faces of the three rulers were not good. Although Lich King couldn't see its expression, the rolling necromantic power around it could still indicate that its mood was very bad. The reason was simple. It had just learned from the Elf Queen that an angel army had attacked the Giant Kingdom, and then, they received news that the Giant Kingdom had been captured by the Nether King. Those were angels. It was a lich. Wasn't this trying to take its life? As a lich, it could live forever, just like a deity. But when it encountered angels, even its bones could be purified. Just the thought of the possibility of an angel army coming to attack its bone temple made its scalp tingle and its heart tremble. How could its mood be good in this situation? How could its mood be good in this situation? How could its